play.
Welcome everyone. Let's start the press conference. Please, questions in English.
Jannik, congratulations. This afternoon, did you play the match of your life? And what did it feel like playing that match?
Match of my life, I don't know, but it's for sure very, very important. You know, as I say, it helps a lot. The last competition that is a team competition, and because you get a lot of energy from your teammates, from the whole team, and then the crowd is different. And I really enjoyed playing today. It was a great match. I started off really well, and obviously in the second set he raised his level, and the third set I just tried to hold my service games and waiting for a good opportunity, which arrived on 5-all, and I took it. And obviously it was a very crucial match for the whole team, and at the end of the match I was really happy for the team to be at least able to play a deciding doubles, and you know, we played really good, and I think it was a really positive day today.
Jannik, I just wanted to ask you about the 3 match points that you saved at 4-5 in the third set in the singles. Can you just talk us through what was going through your head? How did you remain calm in those moments, and what were you trying to do in each of those points?
I know that it was a really important, obviously, important game. We changed not for so long for new balls, so I knew if I'm gonna serve well that maybe I have some free points. But I had to stay in the present moment. It was love 40, and he missed a quite easy backhand, which gave me a little bit of confidence and belief. And then after I served twice, really good. And nothing, you know, after this kind of games, your energy level and then mental level, it's racing, and I think this helped me today.
Jannik, over here. I'm not sure anyone else can maybe say they've beaten Novak Djokovic twice in one afternoon. What does that achievement mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, before the match, we were talking that it was a really important test today. You know, trying to understand what to expect before the match, and then I think we made a good tactical moment also before the match, and obviously playing it is a little bit different, but I think I have to be really proud about how I handled the situation. And as I said, I'm just very happy for all of us, for the team, and tomorrow we have a great opportunity. We know this, but in the other way we will try to stay as relaxed as possible, you know, keeping the smile in our head, which is important also, and then also to be happy to be here. No, it's not so many. For me, it's the first time that we can play a final in Davis Cup, which it means a lot for us.
One last question in English.
Jannik, just looking forward to the final, and to the other guys, please, as well, and the Australian team that you're facing in the final. You'll be playing de Minaur, presumably, in the second match, and you've got this extraordinary hold over him. I think it's only taken 1 set off you. How much of an advantage do you think that is for you, and what confidence does that give you?
Well, we don't know who is gonna play.
Se ti faccio giocare.
Yeah, we have to decide. We have to. You know, I have a lot of hours in my leg. This I know. If I play against him, it's gonna be different. You know, finals, as I said, it's always different. But let's see. It's his decision. He's the captain of the team, and so he can answer you that.
What do you say?
Thanks, Jannik.
Solomon.
No, obviously it's our point of power. Jannik give us a lot of energy, give us a lot of confidence in ourselves, obviously. He's a great player, but he's not only a great player, so he's a great person. That's what I like. So, yeah, he's probably in the first position to play tomorrow.
What do you think of the Australian team?
Strong, different. Different from Serbians. Maybe more, maybe closer than Netherlands, as singles and doubles. But still, we have to take care of us, thinking about tomorrow, enjoying today, but focus for tomorrow. So I head to tomorrow.
We switch into Italian, per favore, domande in Italiano.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. The mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport. But secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another, teammate, and you cannot call for it if you like. But there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky, and of course that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty, okay, and you can still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You just hit it as hard as you can. And actually, probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for, an hour. and they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly, you're 5-all and it's tight again and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think, the best players in the world just, use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments. Because, once you get to pro level, it's not like any player doesn't kind of know what they have to do, but it's in the heat of that moment that they either don't remember because the brain is frying a little bit, or they don't have the courage to use them. Yeah. So, for us sitting there, I remember when Roger Federer had 2 match points against Novak at Wimbledon serving.
Yeah.
You're thinking serve and volley both.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Novak's not going to make a great return on both.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know whether what Roger was thinking, or maybe knew something more than I did, but that was my thinking. But he didn't, and they slipped through his hands. Now, to do that though in that moment takes a huge amount of courage.
Yeah. And
first to make the decision, and then secondly to follow through the decision like that. But then you've always got, and this is what's so tough for players. The other thing is, match point, make the person play. don't serve and give them a quick volley or whatever. And that's
Ready? Play.
Hello,
guys.
hello.
Yeah,
A little bit
I can hear you.
delayed. Sorry about that. I underestimated the gap between the two matches.
No, I actually went to Biedronka to buy some snacks. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
No, I mean,
was
I
just
underestimated. I mean, me, I've been doing other stuff, as you can see.
Yeah,
Showing.
I know. Like literally, when I entered the stream, when I was able to enter after coming back, you already were starting up. So, pretty much we were there at the same time. I actually have an interesting bakery question, because one of the things that I bought, basically I had to go buy something because I don't think I will have time for a proper meal after, if the match is pretty long. But what I'm trying to say is that I bought a croissant, and I was at the self-checkout. And there, of course, there are some categories that you're choosing from. So if you enter like bakery, bread, whatever, then you have bread, you have rolls, and you have two categories, which are like savory bakery products and sweet bakery products. Where would you place a croissant there?
I generally consume it in a sweet fashion. I've just changed microphone, so hopefully, can you still hear me?
And by the way, it's a croissant without filling. It's just, a regular one. It was like a bit weird when you were talking.
Yeah, I've just changed microphones, and I'm.
Oh, now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah. I always consume croissant in a sweet way. What does that mean? It means I never eat it with ham and cheese, although I know many people do. I will always have it with a coffee. I would never have a sandwich and a coffee together, for example, but I would have a croissant or a coffee. I'll also have it with jam. Basically, me personally, it's something sweet, but also bready. I hope that's not me sitting on the fence there.
So if you went to a shop where it would be self-checkout and you didn't know where a croissant was placed, where would you sort of have? What would be your first place to look for a croissant? Would you go to sweet or would you go to savory in a self-checkout system?
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Maybe I would see. You'd often see an image of bread, wouldn't you? In the, let's say it's savory, for example, and it just says savory. There'll be pictures of things, right?
No, but it's like 4 categories. It's bread, it's rolls, it's savory bakery products, and sweet bakery products. So
bread.
you have to choose either savory
bread?
or sweet.
Can I go?
No, you can go bread as well. Oh, okay. If you so you would be looking for it in bread, actually. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a new twist.
Anyway, but I'm guessing it was in savory, right?
No, it was actually in sweet. But I always, anytime I buy it, I look for it in savory, actually, and that's why I'm asking. But yeah, I guess in the chat, Terry and Jane are saying sweet near the muffins, so they would actually be looking for it in sweet, which makes sense. But anytime I'm really surprised. But I guess also there are different types of croissants, right? So if some of them are ready with some sweet feeling, then it makes sense that they are in sweet. And then what? Only this one original croissant would be in savory.
Where would we place Andrey Rublev in this sweet and savory debate?
He's both sweet and savory, right?
Yeah, maybe
the anger, the frustration on the
winter.
court, but at the same time, the nice guy that he is.
I feel like European spring, there's a bit of optimism in the Andrey Rublev step. Monte Carlo win, Belgrade, we touched on it a couple of years ago. maybe that's where he's sweet. But I feel come the season's end and he's playing the ATP Tour finals. And yes, he's made the ATP Tour finals, but he's realizing that this is, maybe a step too far. And then suddenly he goes into the savory category. By the way, I hope people are enjoying my little montage I've got between us right now. I've got the images of some of the images of the day, but also one or two of recent videos that we've got going across. Of course, from those images of the day, you might not necessarily know who won the matches, but if you notice that Novak Djokovic and Arina Sabalenka and Coco Gauff are a little bit more prominent than their opponents, that may give you a clue. And if you're still not sure who won, there is a little thing called Google, and you can check. But I've also, of course, got the subscriber count, which is moving very slowly today, unfortunately. It was actually doing okay during Kostyuk and Goff, but it has ground to a halt. And then another little. Do you know what that is? What that other image? And I know you're eating, so you might not want to answer right now. But
I
that
know
is actually
it's outside your window,
and it's live. It's not an image. It's an
it's
actual
live.
live thing. If you look, you need to look very closely. Occasionally, you'll see a bus go by. I actually wish you could see more traffic, because actually I think people will be quite excited by traffic. But the only way to get traffic would be for me to actually hold it outside the 10th floor window that I'm on. And that is obviously a little bit too risky for me to do so. But
yeah, like what I can see of it, I wouldn't be able to tell you that it's not an image.
There is a little, can you see the traffic if you look really closely? People will look closely. You need to expand the screen maybe.
I expanded, but still nothing.
But if you go on the right-hand side of the image.
There. Okay.
There,
yeah,
I would like.
I can't see it. I know where I would look for it, but without
If you were in an extremely trustworthy environment, and to be honest with you, tennis does provide a lot of those. Oh, hello, we've got some break points here for Andrey Rublev.
That's spicy. That's spicy and might be sweet for Rublev.
Yeah. Nice change of direction there from Andrey. Yeah, I was just going to say, in a really safe environment, and tennis does provide those, and I just thought it'd be quite cool, maybe, where I could just set up the stream where people are just sort of wandering by, you're talking about the Rio Open final between Cam Norrie and Jack Draper. Jack Draper's not in Rio, I don't think, actually. Stan Wawrinka, I think, might be coming to Rio. And while you're doing the live stream for the match, you just sort of
I think Stan wants to play it before the Olympics, yeah.
Okay. He thinks that Rio might help?
There's a lot of players who are taking that route. Well, maybe not a lot, but at least a few who are taking that route because of the Olympics. I think Fields earlier also said that he might be going there, which is quite interesting because, of course, he was so good in Marseille and Montpellier last year, right? But we don't really know it yet because Cordoba, the Cordoba list has been announced, but not for Rio. However, I think already in Buenos Aires there's Wawrinka and Fields. So yeah, Buenos Aires already. We've got the list for that, and there's Fields and Wawrinka. So we have confirmation of that as well. It's a little weird to me. I don't quite fully get it, honestly. Like Fields, especially someone like him. Yeah, you did so well in the indoor season. It's at home as well in France, and you're going to South America to play more on clay in a year where you're already going to play like 3 months on clay anyway. I don't know if I fully buy it that it will actually help his Olympic preparation that much.
You never know.
In the clay season, he's going to play 6 weeks of clay anyway, so
there might be money exchanging hands. I don't mean that in a super cynical way, but I don't know.
I mean, not with all these players. At least a few already have said that they want to play the swing in order to get ready for the Olympics. So
Good hold, as Terry suggests there. I agree with that from 1540.
I am excited for it though. Like, Arthur Fils in that swing, that's going to be something new. That's going to be something fresh. Very rarely have players like done that, really. Joel Fitzonga, I remember playing the Golden Swing sometimes, but you rarely get top players there. Or Carlos, of course, last year was a bit of an exception, but he sort of was trying to just start the year there. But this year he also apparently wants to play Buenos Aires and Rio, which I think might be a little much ahead of.
He signed up for Rio. Did he sign up for Buenos Aires as well?
Yeah, he is on the Buenos Aires list. I think it's maybe a little much, but then again, probably doesn't want to go to Rio just unprepared or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, top players have rarely visited that part of the world in February. Like, it's usually a bit of a low-key swing. So even someone like Fils, who maybe isn't a top player yet, but likely will be in the future, that's already something fresh and new. Players from France coming over. Usually, of course, they have their own events there, so they are sort of relying on them to get points. So it's new. I remember Tsonga definitely played Rio and lost to Monteiro many years ago. That was a bit of a breakthrough moment for Thiago, which obviously in the end, I guess he never won an event of that sort. But I remember thinking that yeah, this was like a true moment when he showed up on the big stage, and maybe he's going to win one in the future. Well, there's still time.
See if I have any news about my Argentina application.
A bit of issues here for Rublev, though, of 30 down after these 2 breakpoints missed in the previous game.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, soon enough, it will also be love 40, as my stream is misfiring currently.
Yes, love 40. I have love 40.
Similarly to the other underdogs, this is a match where like the first set could mean a lot more even than it usually means. Oh, this stream is better, so I will be able to see the breakpoints. TM, Netflix show. And Rublev misses the inside-out forehand. Not much to be said about this game. Like, just a couple of points where Jannik plays very close to the baseline, even when he's on the back foot. It puts a bit of pressure on Rublev for sure. That backhand down the line was great for the Italian, and now also this point where he like really just gave Rublev no advantage whatsoever after a pretty decent shot, and also placed it deep. So first break, of course, goes to Sinner. I want to say something earlier, but what was that? Yeah, I don't even know. And this stream is also all over the place from Eurosport. Maybe Eurosport is having some issues. Maybe it's not the streaming. Would it be worth preparing loads on grass in between tournaments to get a leg up at Wimbledon? Probably not. I mean, most players don't really do that, right? It's like such a unique type of
sort of thing now.
Type of movement. Yeah, maybe, but it's a unique type of movement. I think you potentially could practice for Wimbledon at like a super fast hard court, indoor especially, maybe. Like it used to be said that some players, like for example Germans, were good at Wimbledon, right? Because they had so much practice on carpet.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think most just consider it not worth it to prepare on grass, because during the season you don't get that much preparation time anyway, right? Most players are playing like 25 weeks a year, which basically means a week every a tournament every other week. So between them, you're not going to waste your time on grass, because you want to be better at these events that are coming up for you, right? So. And also, of course, what makes it tricky is that if you go deep at Roland Garros, your Wimbledon warm-up swing is also like a little destroyed.
Yeah.
Because it's just not much time to prepare if at Roland Garros you're going deep. So yeah, it's tricky. It's definitely tricky to be better prepared for Wimbledon. And I think on the previous stream, we also mentioned when talking about Medvedev that the players who were coming up in 2020, they didn't get one Wimbledon. And of course, no one did. but it only widened the gap of experience between them and the generation of Djokovic, Murray, Cilic, who remain the strongest grass court players even at this stage of their careers. Of course, Djokovic is one of the strongest ever, everywhere. But Murray, for example, he still destroys everyone on grass, especially sort of below a certain threshold. Let's say below the top 10 opponents, below the top 20 opponents. Whereas on other courts, he might have much more issues doing that. Cilic also, whenever he was healthy in recent years, was always a threat on grass. And then, yeah, a lot of these veterans actually do well on it, I think, because of that. Or, like, not because of that, but also because their games, of course, are well suited to it, but also because the youngsters haven't had the chance to really grasp what the surface is all about yet. But yeah, I don't think we can really save it. I don't think anyone can really get a leg up by training on it more throughout the year. Maybe in the off season you could try doing that, but then again, where are you going to play on grass in the off season, right? In December.
I see Sinner's got a yellow card already. Somebody mentioned that somewhere. I think somebody tweeted.
I saw a tweet about it. Yeah.
And I must say that I saw it like in the first, because I don't think I've seen it in this color before, this color scheme. And I saw, I think, one of the early matches, maybe on the first day, and that was the first half-second thought that came into my head was the yellow card.
So you see, you didn't have that instinct to tweet about it and farm 2K likes or whatever.
No,
but yeah, I remember that tweet, that it was about someone watching the match with like some casual viewers. Yeah. It was some casual viewer, and they were like, yellow card. But yeah, that's a very fair assumption, I think, when you're not not used to tennis and sort of can't figure out instantly what it means.
I was just wandering around my apartment looking for my passport, and all of the time it was on the desk right in front of me while I was opening suitcases and looking through pockets and stuff. Sinner here has a couple of game points anyway.
At least it's there. Average forehand net clearance. That's an interesting stat. From Sinner, only it's 90 centimeters, and Rublev 58.
Mehboob Ali, can you hit subscribe, please? What was that stat you just said?
Average forehand net clearance, and for Sinner it's 90 centimeters, and for Rublev 58. That's a pretty massive gap.
Yeah.
I don't think their difference in like spin rates is that huge.
We might have to wait a few more games to get a bit more. I mean, there just could have been certain rallies where Sinner was on the defensive, for example.
Exactly, yeah.
Because my feeling is that actually, over the course of a season, I would have thought Rublev tends to go, well, no, I don't know. He's a basher, isn't he? So
I think Rublev might have a bit more RPMs generally, but yeah.
Sinner holds a 4-2. Jannik Sinner, Grand Slam winner. It's a thing. It's a thing to discuss now. 5-set issue.
It's possible.
Definitely. 5-set issues not been on our brain in the last sort of 10 days or so.
Yeah, because he's winning everything in straights.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like Rublev. I remember when he made that. What was it? When he made the quarterfinals for the first time at the French, and we were all thinking like, okay, so Rune plays Shapovalov in round 1, probably a long match. Probably he's going to struggle by the time he gets to the forefront, if he gets to the forefront against Tsitsipas. But he basically started winning everything in 2.5 hours, and he never really ran into it at that French Open. Of course, last year's French Open was a very different deal.
But if he doesn't go 5 sets today, then it might not be an issue, because he's going to have 3 days now until the next match. So even if he goes far, because one of the issues with 5 sets is that we're just thinking, can you do 3 5-set matches in 10 days, for example, as it could be sometimes? I'm
I don't think it will come up. No,
I don't think it will. Not now. Because the problem that Runa was having, for example, and Sinner in the past as well, is they were going 5 in the second round. And then suddenly they were going 4 in the third and then 5 in the fourth. And that was it. Bit of a red nose there.
From whom?
Sinner's, Rublev's coach.
Okay. I'm trying to find Jannik Sinner on this graph. Oh yeah, so here he is. So yeah, Sinner has a bit more RPMs on the forehand, I guess, but it's nothing crazy. They are fairly similar to one another.
Qin Wencheng.
Actually, sorry. I'm looking at it wrong. Yeah, it's actually Rublev who has more topspin on the forehand. Yeah. So I guess of course it's not the only thing.
The net clearance is from Rublev, then, is it? Or
the net clearance was much higher for Jannik, but as you said, maybe he was just defending a little bit more with some loopier shots.
As he's doing here.
On the backhand, Sinner has a lot more, but actually on the backhand, Sinner has like one of the leading, I guess, scores on the ATP side.
Here's an interesting women's final for you, for a couple of reasons. Qin Wencheng, Coco Gauff. For a couple of reasons, that's interesting. Do you know what one of the reasons is? Perriba.
Oh yeah. It's good to give a shout out to him. And what are the other reasons?
I just think a contrast there. I think also.
I mean, we don't really need reasons to be excited about this one, right?
But I also think it'll be close. Whereas I think Qin Wencheng against Sabalenka might not be.
Yes, Kinven against Gauff is a better shot at a good final than Kinven against Arina. In fact, I'm going to say that Kinven against Coco is kind of guaranteed to be a good final. Whereas Kinven against Arina, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I have my reservations.
A lot of people watching on Facebook all of a sudden. It must be the time of day to tune into Facebook. So please do hit the like button.
Have you ever watched a stream on Facebook?
I mean, I might have tuned in to one of these streams, but
yeah,
not for
but that
long.
doesn't count. That
yeah,
doesn't
but
count.
no other stream now.
Yeah, me neither. But if people are using that, why not? I feel like I haven't been on Facebook in ages. I guess if I didn't have Twitter, though, then I would be on Facebook more. But now Twitter just fulfills all of my social media needs.
Yeah, I feel as though Facebook is neglected on many levels from many people, including the people that run it. I think it doesn't seem to be managed in the efficient way that perhaps either it used to be or other social media is. You can follow Eurosport on TikTok, apparently.
Oh, that's a platform that I haven't started using yet, and likely never will.
Vanch was telling me you can link TikTok to YouTube, and I've linked it, but I can't imagine people on TikTok tuning into a 5-hour epic. Would Sinner losing against Djokovic be a failure? No. That's the. No, I mean, I guess it does depend on the manner. I think we would be.
Yeah.
If it was 2-3-2 or something.
Yeah, 3 sets, easy match for Novak. Yes, it would be a failure. But generally, losing to Djokovic, no.
It would actually.
I don't think
you
can.
Oh no, Jannik. Sorry, Andrey. Did you see what he just did?
No, because my stream is malfunctioning again.
He just whacked his leg a few times with his racket.
Oh, again.
Like the actual the he's not whacking his shoe. He's whacking his leg.
Yeah, I don't think we can find an angle from which this is a failure. Like other than Djokovic is 36 and like they should be beating him at this point, but like he's so good. I'm not actually sure they should be.
And Sinner in the progression where he's at. I mean, actually, even if Sinner was 25 or 28, but we'd seen an incredible progression from him over the previous 6 months and even over the previous 18 months. If he just was one of these late bloomers, it's very rare now, but in other sports, sometimes you get a late bloomer. I mean, Daniel Medvedev maybe is the most recent example of a late bloomer, perhaps.
Medvedev is a late bloomer?
I mean, it's not like he was Alcaraz or Sinner, though.
Well, no, but yeah. In the same manner, you could try to call Federer a late bloomer, but that's also not really true. But yeah, Victor Estrella Burgos is a late bloomer. I'm not sure that will mean much to you, but
It won't.
He actually won Quito 3 times in a row, so very close, the same continent to where you are right now. And he only got to the top 100, I think, at the age of like 34, 33, something like that. Rublev, I had to turn over to that stream. That's a little faster than yours, but well, that one at least is working.
No worries.
Rublev fighting back a little bit for that 30 all points now. Recovered very well here from that deep forehand position and then instantly takes over. And that backhand is looking pretty smooth. I saw some analysis about like his contact points changing a little bit. And I think the points that the guy used in order to show that, they weren't exactly that good, because I think Rublev, on that point from the 2023 Australian Open, he didn't exactly set up for it well, even for his 2023 sort of standards. He was like very close to his body, can't quite get like any power out of that. But right now, it does seem like he has a better setup simply, but the better contact point for the backhand when he has like time on it. And I think we can see that. Like anytime he has a backhand here, I think indeed it has been tweaked with like a little bit. It has been tweaked, but is it actually going to be enough for him to hold up against Sinner? I don't really know, but it is something. I think we were talking about it with Vansh earlier as well, that the issues that in the past were often mentioned with Rublev, the second serve, the backhand, they're not exactly the things that are holding him off, just stopping him from achieving his dreams right now.
Right.
They have definitely been sort of, there has never been an off season or like a long patch where you're suddenly like, oh wow, so Rublev's backhand has made a massive leap. But over the years, these weaknesses have been improving, and I don't think this is what's stopping him. I think it's more so the lack of variety in his game, and just how tough it is above a certain level to beat guys like Medvedev, Djokovic, Sinner, Alcaraz, these guys who are so complete, can hit as hard as Rublev, but at the same time also have all these other tools in their box.
Indeed.
We also were comparing him to Fritz, I think, on one of the streams, and just thinking that they both do hit very hard, but like Taylor is actually the one who is trying to maybe find some more shot-making opportunities, just maybe hit a winner out of position or go for a down-the-line shot somewhere, whereas Rublev is probably more predictable even in his patterns.
Yeah.
And that's probably the main problem for me, not necessarily the backhand anymore, especially if he indeed has worked on it during the off-season.
It'd be interesting to see who has the more successful career between Rublev and Fritz.
I mean, it's pretty clear at this point, right? I think it has to be Rublev. He's a better athlete. Yeah, he's more
probably across the three surfaces
at the top. I mean, 4 years at the ATP finals. I don't know if Fritz ever does that.
I mean,
Rublev did it consecutively.
If you stop their careers right now, but I'm just saying maybe at the end of their careers.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy it for Fritz to get to Rublev's achievements.
Yeah. I mean, Rublev hadn't won 1,000 until... So
I know.
6 months later.
But also has one final now, in addition to that, where, of course, he had a match point against Hurkacz. The career high is the same, so definitely it's a fair comparison. It does seem like Rublev has a lot more staying power at the top.
Rublev might be the more consistent, but Fritz might just have a one-off moment at Wimbledon or somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, Rublev also should make that semi at some point. We're definitely not at like that moment yet where we are afraid of him never making it, right? Like, not yet. It's also not that far off.
We are afraid that in a different paradigm that Tsitsipas won't ever make it. I mean, I know
think,
he's made, he's made Grand Slam finals, but
that whole generation, like this is literally the new lost generation, because people were saying that about Dimitrov, people were saying that about Nishikori, Raonic, these guys, that they were lost, in that big four scenario. But I think now we get another generation like this, which is Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev. Of course, Medvedev is very different because number one, because of a slam. But Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev, Rublev, like all of these guys. Team as well. Team also won a slam, but of course his case is a little different because we don't have peak team on the tour right now, whereas all the other four guys that I mentioned are still playing and like competing basically at the top of their abilities. So for team, it's an injury as well that made him decline so hard. So it's very different. But like these four, it's not that they've gotten worse. They are improving. It's just that the new generation is more talented. Like it's hard to see them competing with Alcaraz and Sinner, and maybe in a couple of years with Rune as well. Tsitsipas has already struggled to keep up with Rune, which it just doesn't bode well for their chances whatsoever to claim slams, because it seems like if you have three of these guys plus even the aging Djokovic, how does Medvedev, Zverev, Rublev, Tsitsipas, how do they win slams from here? Medvedev, of course, being a bit of an exception with actually having chances even at the US Open, but it's been a while for Zverev, Tsitsipas, and I think even this slam shows it pretty well. Like for Zverev, for example, right? He probably needs to play Alcaraz, Medvedev, and Djokovic back to back, or Alcaraz, Medvedev, and Sinner. So how does he do it? I don't think it's really possible. And Sinner will be beating them. Will be beating them like easily soon, right?
Yeah. From that bunch, though, maybe Sinner would be the more doable one for Zverev.
For now.
For now, yeah. But it would also be a Grand Slam final, and despite the fact it would be Jannik's first and Sasha's second, I might fancy Jannik under the pressure a bit more.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, Zverev has on many occasions in the past faltered on these stages. So
36 minutes right now.
Yeah,
so despite 10 games,
3 set points for Sinner.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I guess we could look back to the 2 breakpoints, right, at 1-2. They did like turn the momentum, I guess, around.
Oh yeah, it was 1-2. Yeah.
Yeah, 1-2. But at the same time, it was so early in the set. Then Sinner broke instantly. Doesn't feel like it was particularly close, but it's not like Rublev can just go to his bench and basically think, okay, when will this match be over after the first set? Definitely not. Like it's still competitive, but it does feel like the better player won the set. By the way, is Rublev or Sinner a better server right now?
Oh, Sinner.
Sinner already. I would also say Sinner. I think it's relatively close still, but probably since the puking, Sinner is the answer. And he's definitely got like more upside with it in the future.
I mean, that last serve we just saw down the tee was a good example.
Yeah, and that's not good for Rublev because it's really hard to find right now an area on the court, an aspect of the game where he's better than Jannik, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't too physical. He didn't lose too much energy in that first set.
We must have the schedule now for tomorrow. What are the 2 first semi-finals for tomorrow?
Let me check. Let me do that. But that schedule was like out for a while now.
Yeah,
but,
I guess so. I just haven't
the first one is, I actually know it. The first one is Noskova Yastremska, and that's at noon this time. They're starting at noon. Okay. Then you have Medvedev Hurkacz.
Okay.
And then the first match of the night session, I think at 9:15 for some reason. Or like, what is 9:15 for me? So like 7:15 in Australia time. The first match is Kalinskaya Zheng, and then Zverev Alcaraz.
Zverev Alcaraz, okay.
Yeah. Krejcikova Zygmunt not before 5 a.m. on Margaret Court. Krejcikova Zygmunt, Hunter Siniakova.
So hang on a second. So where does that fit in? Sorry, so that match is going to be on Margaret Court, so it's not Rod.
No. Margaret Court, it's probably going to be like around when Hurkacz and Medvedev are finishing, or maybe like midway through that match. But yeah, Noskova, Yastremska, Hurkacz, Medvedev, and then night Kalinskaya, Zheng, and Zverev, Alcaraz.
So my personal schedule allows me to be 100% available for the first two. The other two, I can probably put you. I'll talk to you later. So, Jannik Sinner winning the first 6-4.
Yeah, my personal schedule might not allow me to watch the first match because I might be asleep, and I kind of don't care about it.
That's music to my ears. I want you to rest. My main issue is that your preference in terms of those 4 matches is the second match, whereas I know I'm good for that one.
I mean, it's second, third, and fourth sort of at the same level, honestly.
Okay.
I don't really have a preference between these 3. It's only Noskova, Yastremska, which I'm like a little less interested in. I would still watch it, like if I can, because today I'm going to be back at like 9 p.m. And given that yesterday I slept from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m., it might be that after I'm back, I might not wake up for Noskova, Yastremska.
Yeah, I'm not going to think of you for the first match for sure.
Tough. If I don't watch it tough, I'm going to be okay with it. The other 3, I definitely want to catch anyway, regardless if it's on stream or not.
Oh, I found a little spider. I actually feel encouraged when I see spiders in the house. They are just basically so harmless. I mean, of course, I'm not living in Australia, so I think I might have a slightly different attitude if I was there. But give me 10 spiders over 1 fly any day. I don't get the fear of spiders thing. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't like any insects, but it's not like I'm afraid of them. I'm mostly disgusted.
Spider's not an insect, my friend.
I mean, it's the same.
It's an arachnid.
It's the same.
Yeah. If I said something in tennis terms, just slightly off, you'd be picking me up.
I know, but biology, I just don't care about it. It was like literally my least favorite subject. I know nothing about the world around me, and that's why I don't care. But that's true. I mean, when you say something that is slightly inaccurate, I already have to be no. Actually, that was so frustrating to me when I was watching that Garcia Osaka stream with you and Miles, and you guys, like, I don't remember exactly, of course, where it was right now, but you did make like a few inaccuracies, and I was like already typing them in the chat, but then you wouldn't see them, or you would either at all or for a while, and as a viewer, it was really irritating to me.
I was super tired.
Thankfully, I know you were like barely you were like basically lying down. I think I even said it in the chat that like this reminds me of Bond, because anytime one of us would have like a physical crisis, we would just sort of lie down, but still talk, of course, and still watch, but just sort of lay for a while.
There was a lot of angled microphones like this in Bonn.
Yeah.
Oh, Boris Becker's in the commentary box alongside someone I don't even know, Wolfgang Nadvornik. Might even be a Polish surname for all I know. I mean, he's obviously German, but
Wolfgang Nadvornik?
No, the surname Nadvornik. It might be another Eastern European name. Not that some people in Poland like to be called Eastern European.
I don't know, like a different version of that could work. I don't know anyone of the surname Nadvornik, but it could be a Polish thing. But I was just asking about the presenter, I guess. Don't know him.
No, I've never seen him before. Boris is enjoying his company. Boris is just in a great mood all the time at the moment. I mean, I was watching him.
Rune lost already. He doesn't have to worry about
when
him.
Rune had lost, and an hour later, Boris is on Eurosport, and he's laughing and joking. He's having a great time. And I'm thinking, I'm not Rafa Nadal's coach, but when he lost that match to Tsitsipas in 5 sets at the Australian Open, I didn't want to be. I certainly wouldn't want to be going on TV.
Yeah,
That's
but I
like
mean, it is his work, right? Like, what is he supposed to do? Tell them, no, sorry, I can't because my guy lost. My protege.
I just wouldn't work in and around that period. I mean, it's like Misha Zverev.
Boris needs the cash, Boris needs the cash.
Maybe, yeah.
Clearly. So.
Misha Zverev. He's a bit of a figure of fun, actually, Misha Zverev. Mainly because of his predictions regarding his brother.
Yeah. I don't know if I saw it this slam. I don't think I saw the usual bracket sort of that they do from the quarterfinals onwards, but usually he just picks Zverev to win the title.
I'm not even sure if he's working for Eurosport this year because I haven't seen him.
No, maybe he's not.
Got 5.
But as a whole, he was pretty cool, I think, as an analyst. But just
okay,
just the the Zverev predictions are pretty weird. But Misha
they would sometimes a couple of years ago during COVID times, they would talk to him when he's in the box. Misha Zverev. So Misha Zverev's watching his brother. I would be too anxious and too preoccupied to start having a chat. So he'd have the phone kind of looking at him, and he would talk to them like this. This would be like at the changeover or whatever, and they'd be chatting away to the people in the studio. Which again, if I was Sasha Zverev, I don't know if I'd want my coach to be doing that. Anyway,
well, let me put it this way: I'd rather listen to Misha probably than his brother.
Is there another brother?
I don't know. Not that I know of. At least he's not a tennis player. There's quite a few years between them, right? As well. One born in Germany, one still in Russia.
Oh, okay. Misha was born in Russia.
Yeah, I think maybe St. Petersburg is where they're from.
Okay.
Or maybe Moscow. No, maybe Moscow. Russian? Never mind.
Is the father Russian?
Yeah.
That's a pretty horrible return there, or an attempt at return from Rublev. Might even have been an ace in the end, but seemed to go through a hole in the racket. Oh,
the dad played for Russia, or I guess at the time actually Soviet Union. But Misha, of course, and Sasha always for Germany.
Maybe Rublev is
another insect. Another close-up of an insect might be going your way, yeah.
Tyler out.
Yeah. Yeah, this is becoming a little spotty again from Rublev and just going down of 40. Well, of 30.
Oh, yeah. And then, again, Sinner on serve. Okay, he's faced a couple of break points, but he's not been broken yet. He's not lost a set all tournament. I have no idea how many times he's been broken, but obviously not that.
I'm gonna check that, but it's not been too much. I would assume. Well, against Kachanov, I don't think he was broken at any point.
Oh, wow.
Against Baez, was he broken?
I don't think so. No, I mean it was obviously something like 3-1-0, wasn't it?
Against Jesper de Jong, it was 2-2-2. So I also think he maybe was broken like once tops, but I'm not even sure. I think he must have been broken against Botic, but I'm not confident about it either. Well, no, against Botic, I think he was. I'm gonna check that. But yeah, definitely hasn't been too many. I don't really care about the quality of the opposition. He has been like blowing through the field.
I was thinking a little bit about that, but yeah.
Yeah. And also, of course, there's the eye test. Like, oh, actually, no, he did get broken against Kachanov, but not in that set where he had so many opportunities, I suppose. It was actually... What? Oh, in the second set. Okay, so in the second set, they traded breaks at the very beginning. I forgot about that.
Against Khachanov.
Yeah, so he was broken once by Khachanov.
Some break points here for Jannik.
Against
49.
Bias, he saved all 4 breakpoints.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't watching the Bias match, but I did have Jethro watching it whilst we were on a stream covering another match. Do hit the like button, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you click subscribe. 1 breakpoint save with a decent serve. Go on, what?
Against De Jong, he didn't save a breakpoint. He didn't need to. And against Botic, he was broken once, yes. So 2 breaks so far in 4 matches. Now 4 and a few games and 1 set. In 13 sets.
He's a couple of good serves from Rublev to get back to juice.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have like a major missed opportunity for one of the guys here.
It's going to be Jannik who's missed the opportunity.
Why?
Because it's an opportunity.
Yeah, sure.
That's the receiver.
That's fair. It could have been like an opportunity. I was thinking about it, trying not to give it away, as in like he had, control of the point and he missed a shot, for example. Then it would still be an opportunity for Rublev, I suppose.
Yeah, but it just framed that way. It felt like an opportunity for the person.
Yeah, that's
to
true.
Break point. And it was, yeah. He probably makes that 8 times out of 10, maybe more even.
Yeah, got Rublev to the net with that drop shot, but literally like on Sinner's terms, Andrey I think also went left, tried to cover the cross-court shot, so it's literally just Sinner missing a bit of a sitter. Let me see if that previous stream is working. That one, that's, I guess. I'll try to.
That wasn't as good a serve as the other 2 were that Jannik couldn't get back. I mean, it was a decent serve, but again, Jannik might feel as though, I think he might even have taken a step in the wrong direction that forced him into hitting that ball into the net. So it was a good hold for Rublev, bearing in mind, I think it was 15-40 at one point.
Yeah, and actually this was like the story of the previous set, right? That someone saves a 15-40, breaks the next game and runs away with it. So Rublev will be hoping for a repeat, of course, with this time with the roles reversed.
Yeah, actually, Terry here. Sorry, I've just seen your comment. Yeah, I was just saying about Hatchinoff and him exchanging breaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, of course. Kachanov at the beginning of the second set, they traded breaks, and against Botic also. So just 2 breaks on the Sinner serve so far in 13 sets played in Melbourne. I would expect that to be at least doubled if he plays Novak Djokovic, but who knows?
And that still might not be too bad.
No, I mean,
serve.
If you play like 4 or 5 sets against Novak, of course, that's not bad. I think Fritz probably lost his serve 4 times today. All in sets 2 and 3.
Yeah, it was 2 in one set, wasn't it? Because that meant he couldn't serve first in the final set.
Yeah,
we just
6-2 in the third, and then 6-3 in the fourth. But it was with a break for Taylor as well. So
Quattrocchi just says yes, so it's something he or she is agreeing with. Do hit the like button, please, Quattrocchi on Facebook.
Djokovic Sinner, Australian Open semis here. This is a bit like an Alcaraz Roland Garros moment last year. Kind of feels like it. Well, he won't be the favorite, but he will be someone who everyone will be looking at. Like, you gotta push the guy at least. I guess Alcaraz was the favorite, so it was a bit different. But a straight set loss will be acceptable.
That match was hyped up as well in so many ways.
And this one will be a 2, right?
Yeah, I
After
know the
their
Sinner
clashes of
thing is
last year.
their clashes in the last few months. I know, but that was just another level. Maybe it's also because we're in Europe and it was on sort of mid-afternoon on a Friday. What's Iga up to at the moment? Is she back in Poland chilling out, or
How would I know? I don't know.
is she must be playing some of the Middle Eastern tournaments, I'd have thought.
Yeah, but for now, I think she's like expected to be in both Doha, Dubai. But we are talking about in Tour de France that we wouldn't be surprised if she skips one of them. I think especially the knee it will be important to see like how serious that is and whether she needs
Yeah.
some time off the court. I think if she won the Australian Open, I would have also been in favor of her playing just one of these. It seems a little much simply if you want to play Doha, Dubai, and then Indian Wells, Miami, right? It just seems like a lot. It's not impossible, obviously, but it does seem like a lot of tennis. I don't think we have the lists for Doha or Dubai yet. In fact, of course, on the WTA side, they are so much tougher to find, and basically we have to rely on scraps.
Weirdly, Nadal is on the list for
Yeah.
I think the 250 there, which surprises me because I would have thought if he plays any tournament at that time, it would be if he plays any tournament, which I actually didn't think he would. It would be Acapulco.
Well, to be fair, we don't have a list for Acapulco yet, so it's very possible that he sort of will go there anyway.
Do one, yeah, I don't know.
Being a former champ, of course, and yeah, I think perhaps winning it on both on clay and hard courts. But yeah, he could go there after Doha. Then Indian Wells, Miami. I guess if he's flying to Acapulco, then he's definitely flying to Indian Wells and Miami as well, right?
Indian Wells, yeah. Miami, not sure.
I mean, at this stage, it's not like, I guess. He plays Indian Wells, goes to Miami. But what I'm trying to say is that at this stage, he kind of is not really thinking of winning a title, probably. So like he's not guaranteed, 2 weeks of action. I think it's likely that he would just go to Miami and play for 2 weeks. But you're right. Maybe he goes to Europe and actually trains for the clay season already.
I don't think he'll ever play Miami again.
It's just that usually he would sometimes skip Miami because the expectations were to go deep in every single event around it, both Indian Wells and also the clay season right after. But right now, more so the expectations are like to get a few matches in. So
we'll see. But, event by event, I guess.
Depends, I guess, also on the overall sort of like where he wants if he even really considers his ranking at all a thing anymore. Like whether he actually wants to build it up or not.
I think he possibly would have done, but I think that this Brisbane and Australia miss, or Brisbane and loss at quarterfinal, followed by not playing the Australian Open, it's a jolt to that, at least.
Because like if you care about the points, you have to play Miami, sort of. But
yeah, I mean
that's going to be a breakpoint for Andrey Rublev here. So really, that story from the first set is like almost on the verge of repeating itself. Just hits a bigger backhand than Jannik Sinner in cross court and manages to find himself an opportunity which he gladly takes. He's the first player to get to the inside out and actually goes inside in, but well, still to get to the forehand from the backhand position. An ace from Jannik Sinner, though, so far saves him. That's the out wide on the outside. That definitely hits pretty well right now. 204 only, but the angle was pretty hard to get for Andrey. 5 aces for Sinner so far. Rublev at 3.
Oh wow, I didn't even know this. A picture I posted a few days ago on our Facebook page has got 15,000 likes, which is just nuts.
What?
And 11. Yeah, I've just seen it. I posted it 3 days ago, but I don't go on the Facebook that often. But
What's the picture?
It's just a picture of Arina Sabalenka celebrating a win.
Okay.
From 3 days ago when she won, I think 0-0 against. Maybe that's what it is because it was against Sorenko or Ukraine. I don't know. It's got 1,100 comments. It's got 223 shares and 15,000 likes. I hadn't checked the Facebook page for a few days, just because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't matter. I wish it did, because otherwise that 15,000 likes would be quite useful. Anyway. For those of you tuning in, do like our Facebook page and give us another like on a page that doesn't matter. So Sinner has a game point now after a sticky situation. I guess one thing in Andrey's favor is that the gap between Sinner in all of these categories that we have highlighted, saying Sinner is slightly, it is close in so many ways between these two.
Which two? Sinner and Rublev?
Yeah, it's like, a peak Rublev against a slightly off Sinner could be very, very competitive.
One of the reasons why I really believed in the Sinner win here is that I believe that an 85-90% version of Sinner is enough for Rublev already. Like, I don't think that Sinner has to be at his absolute very best. I think a lot of people have been trying to nitpick some things in Jannik's performance so far, which is either the quality of the opposition or maybe some errors he made against Botic, especially the breakpoints for Khachanov in the first and second sets, which Jannik was saving all the time. But what I'm trying to say is that I think he has sort of just arrived at that moment when he doesn't really need to be at his 100% best level of tennis to keep winning matches like this. And part of why I was so confident in a Sinner win here, which I still am, of course, he won the first set, although the match is pretty competitive, and I can't disagree with that, was that I believe that, just as sort of an average but decent performance from Sinner probably beats Rublev right now. And I think I've read it on the internet as well. I've read someone else saying pretty much the same, and that's why someone that was the comment under that tweet of mine where I was trying to split the Rublev quarterfinals into two groups. So one of the comments there actually said it, that because he believes that Rublev at this stage can't really beat a 90% Sinner, that's why he believes that Sinner is tier 1 instead of tier 2.
When you first posed the question, at least on Talking Tennis a few days ago, I quite liked the answers that I think maybe Sean, or it might have been Matthew D'Souza, came up with, and I joined in that game, which was where we, instead of saying 1 or 2, it would be like where on the scale. So I think someone went 1.25, and I might have cheekily gone 1.16. So if those players, Medvedev on a hard court, or who were the other two players? Djokovic and Nadal, was it? When did he lose to Nadal? US Open, maybe?
Who? Come again? Sorry, because I lost myself completely.
Rublev lost to Nadal.
The quarterfinals. Yeah, he lost to Nadal at the US Open 2017. That, of course, was baby Rublev, so he didn't really have a shot. And Djokovic twice. That's recently Medvedev 3 times.
Yeah. So if they're all 1, Medvedev on a hard court, it's fair enough to say 1. Then, where is Sinner now? 1.16 to 1.25 seem to be the variable.
Closer to 1 than to 2 for me, for sure. And he might be getting close to 1. I actually Oleg commented under this as well. He has, of course, a pretty big account that he basically believes that if Rublev won either of these 6 quarterfinals against Medvedev, Nadal, or Djokovic, it would be like seeing the result. If you didn't watch the match, would be like no effing way. I actually think if Rublev beats Sinner today, I would already be at that sort of shock. Now, does that maybe there are some other circumstances in this, like the 5-set battle that he had against the Minor, potentially maybe destroying him later in the match if this goes so physical as well. Yeah, maybe also the Sinner form being so good, which maybe doesn't have to be like this all year. But yeah, to me, it's pretty close to that one tier. And of course, if he actually manages to beat Rublev and also manages to at least push Djokovic, like go 5 with him, go very tight 4 sets with him, that would, I think, maybe like just put Sinner into that tier 1 already, just straight up, no questions asked. Maybe if they play on clay, maybe. I guess Andrey would like have more time to stay in these. Oh, that's a pretty good forehand as well. Stay in these backhand exchanges that they're of course going to be playing because both are looking to attack. Both don't want each other to start dominating. So, I don't know. But maybe if they're playing on clay, maybe that becomes different. But yeah, Medvedev, of course, you mentioned that on hard courts, he has to be tier 1. On grass, I guess even with my appreciation for Medvedev on grass, that wouldn't necessarily be that. Because Rublev, of course, is also weak on grass, but like I don't know if Medvedev is at that unbeatable level for him on grass. On hard courts, kinda is. Of course, Rublev won against him once. I believe our friend, tennis Twitter influencer Bastien, had this funny tweet when Medvedev won the first set there, where he said that like there are only a few, probably I don't remember if it was exactly a paraphrase of that or like something along these lines, but he basically said that there are only a few uncertainties in tennis, and one of the things that he's certain about is that Daniil Medvedev will just totally dominate Andrey Rublev anytime they play, and then Rublev won the next 2 sets. But of course, that was more so the exception to the rule, and also in the best of 5 format, it becomes even tougher.
He's obviously right in many ways, and he's probably thinking more about just being amusing than accurate, which is fine, and that's okay. I'm all right with a bit of amusement. You know, I thought you were going to say something like life. What was it? Death taxes and Medvedev beating Rublev or something.
Yeah. It could have been that's what I wanted to say of the paraphrase. Yeah, it could have been something around that. I don't remember, but generally, you know.
The problem with the set that Medvedev won is that he stole it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rublev was the better player across all 3 sets in that particular encounter in Turin.
No, I'm actually not talking about Turin. I'm talking about the first time he beat
okay.
Rublev, and I don't think he stole it there.
So
I am talking about the first time. That's Cincinnati, I think.
Oh yeah, that's when he smashed the camera. When Medvedev had a fight with the camera. You don't remember this fight with the camera he had?
I remember fight with the camera. I'm not sure if it was this match, but yeah,
it was.
I wouldn't remember which match it was, but I do remember what you're talking about. But yeah, that was the first win over Medvedev. He's 2-7 against Medvedev now. That was like over a year before the ATP Finals match. But yeah, there I think it was 6-2 Medvedev the first set. So. And it didn't, pretty much needless to say, like it wasn't looking like that matchup was suddenly going to turn around for Andrey. But anyway, he held again here, again saving a break point. Went after he had that +1 forehand, like a lot of acceleration. We'll see, but so far it has been competitive for sure.
For Djokovic to go through Fritz playing the way he did, and then potentially Sinner and Alcaraz, that's a more meaty run to winning a Grand Slam than some of the ones he had last year.
Yeah, I mean, if he has to play both guys, Sinner and then Alcaraz, that's really tough.
Yeah.
In a year, that might as well be like, he might not be the favorite to pull it off. Right now he is. But like in a year, if he plays Sinner and Alcaraz, who knows? Novak aging by one more year, them getting better still. And it does not have to be easy at all.
Hey, Matthew, hit the like button, please. Yeah. Oh, a little bit of a crowd now joining us. If you hit the subscribe button, that very, very tiny number you see there of 5371 will actually go up, which has gone up by 1 in the last hour, so that's some progress, I guess.
5.5 will be tough as well, right? Not only the 6.
I actually think 5.5 might happen, and still you might just get the final where it goes up by 50 or something on each day, the women's and the men's, and then you're basically there.
It's
but
possible.
the 6K, yeah, it might. I'm not even worried that much. If we were that close to 6K, I'd probably be pushing it a bit more, but 5.5 is not really a number.
I think even if we get like 400 in a month, that's already pretty huge. Given we all remember like where we were on New Year's Eve, right? Because we literally hit 5K on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but I think
not the Hawaiian one even.
I think because the Aussie Open finishes on the 29th, I'm going to say, so that gives us another couple of days as well past that, which will mean there'll be review episodes and stuff. Then probably by the end of the month, we probably will get 5.5. I don't know. Maybe I'm misjudging it, but I did misjudge it with 6K because that was the initial plan. It's a nice 1-2 there. But February, fingers crossed, will be if I got just one of Rio Buenos Aires, but Rio in particular, that would be a huge boost, especially if I got a 1-1 with Carlos. But then I'm probably getting a bit ahead of myself there because I think he'll be in demand. Given his popularity, actually, I think Andrey would probably get more numbers than Carlos. Another difficult.
I feel like Rublev is very popular among like the tennis Twitter and like online fans, but offline, do you think he's actually a very popular player?
Yeah, he's not.
I think
great.
He's like,
it's not quite Twitter, but yeah,
I think it's the sort of community that just sort of it gets even enlarged by the social media stuff about him and like the videos, the also interactions that people sort of will talk about online. But he probably doesn't like quite have the results to have the same appeal offline as some of these players have.
Great point.
It's like a bit of like that Zverev thing that in the tennis Twitter bubble, everyone knows about the allegations, everyone is talking about it. But offline, most people either haven't heard about it or don't really care. And of course, with Rublev, it's a different case. But like, I think that he's probably more enjoyed, loved in among online fans rather than like people sitting in the stadium. Jannik just barely misses this forehand pass down the line. He's also like grabbing his stomach there. But anyway, breakpoint again. So I think for the 4th consecutive game, we get a breakpoint. And well, another breakpoint that Jannik Sinner saves with an ace, this time down the tee on the outside. So I think it's his second breakpoint save this set, and the second one that he did it with, the second time he did it with a serve, with an ace. But yeah, 4 games in a row now that we get breakpoints. So
that previous shot, the forehand down the line a couple of shots ago, was Yeah, it was a miss by Jannik. It was a much finer gap that he was trying to find, and maybe he should have gone cross court.
Rublev rushing a bit on that inside in, so.
There's a bit of a chat going on between Matthew and Terry in the chat. I haven't really paid that much attention. Crowd appears very quiet when Rublev saves the break point. Normally, crowd cheers because they want an underdog. But yeah, I think maybe they're just feeling a bit of fatigue. Very impressed with Sinner when he faces trouble on serve. Yeah, indeed. Maybe they want a Sinner. I think, Terry, you and I want to, and most tennis Twitter probably do, but I actually think in the crowd, again, they're probably not thinking about that, especially if they haven't got tickets for Friday or Thursday, whenever the match will be. No, Friday.
Yeah.
Sinner.
Yeah, Terry also said that about Sinner grabbing his stomach. So I wasn't. Yeah, because I thought maybe I'm just putting too much into it, but apparently not. Since it's not only me. That's a fair point from Matthew as well. And I guess that goes back to what we...
The Emmy thing about Jim Courier. Look at the comment.
That's a new comment. Okay, no, yeah,
it's funny.
Okay, I was higher up with the Sinner looks very comfortable maintaining this level, where I think Rublev, just to stay with Sinner, feels like he's running up a hill. I guess that goes to what we said earlier, that like part of why I felt and feel so confident about Sinner winning is that the sort of normal level of his currently is probably enough. Like he doesn't really need to go to like a full-on peak performance. But of course, the second set, once again, very competitive. Who takes break points basically decides it, which for now no one has. But in the first set, it was Sinner who converted his chances and Rublev didn't. So it's not like it's been very obvious. Yeah, maybe they actually don't want to sit there until 3 a.m. Maybe that's also a thing. Yeah, now I'm reading the Matthew comment about the Emmy. I mean, he's definitely one of the best interviews or like conferences and
press conferences. Yeah,
I think the media might be fawning over him a little bit because of that, because he's just always like elaborate and gives you some thoughtful, interesting answers.
There was a weird thing about
put into the quotes.
Break point or something. People were asking him in the press conferences before the tournament about how he felt about break point for training him in a particular way, and I don't know. But if that's the media, Matthew, and you might have a point, then have a go at the media. I would focus on them individually, the ones that are unnecessarily fawning over him, rather than Medvedev himself, because I think, I like him. He's fun.
Yeah, I don't think it's about Medvedev. Yeah. But of course, hype can make certain players actually seem unbearable to us at some point if the hype is too strong for our tastes. Like honestly, when I see that all the takes like 3 or 4 days ago when Świątek got eliminated, when Rybakina was already out, that like this is Goff's title to lose or something like that. Like I literally started, like a part of me wanted her to lose right away, because it's just such a ridiculous statement to me, and yet you see it all the time. Or when I see tweets that, oh, finally we can stop talking about that forehand because it's no longer, an issue or something. I mean, lol, no.
Watch the match today.
Yeah, for example, right? The fact that it's looking okay against Magda Frank, who's like unable to put any pressure on Goff. Yeah, sure. And that of course doesn't only go for Goff, that goes for a lot of players who like might get some hype that you consider unwarranted, and then a part of you, I guess, wants to just show them that it's not right.
Terry, it's in a press conference. It's in a press conference when he's asked about it, and I think he's like, "Oh, I think Medvedev's answer was like, oh, I didn't know I was put in a bad light, so, or that's not how I saw it." I think that was his answer. But I haven't. I was so disappointed by the first season that I haven't tuned in, and I probably won't. Not just because of that, but also just because of time.
Yeah, like if I had unlimited time, if I didn't have 200 things that I want to watch on my hard drive, sure, of course. But I watch so much tennis anyway that if I'm watching something else, it's probably going to be something more worthwhile than
because
Breakpoint.
it just never stops. I mean, the week after the Australian Open, the week after the Grand Slams, I find it difficult enough to get it all in anyway. The WTA look back on the tournament, the ATP look back on the tournament, the wheelchair look back on the tournament, the doubles look back on the tournament, and suddenly you're into Thursday. And I think I did one of those last year, about 9 days after the Slam finished, just because of timing. It might have been the doubles review.
Yeah, tennis never sleeps, and it's part of why we love it, but it's also part of why we never sleep, and part of why I basically feel like I'm working 24 hours a day, even though I'm not. But like, there's always something to do. There's always something to watch.
I like that Medvedev hadn't seen it, actually.
One weird thing that I remember with Medvedev at a press conference was during the Olympics, but I think he just didn't really understand the question, because of course at the Olympics the Russian athletes, lots of them weren't able to compete, and I think someone asked, it might have been Ben Rothenberg, honestly, but someone asked Medvedev whether he feels like a little like how does he feel treated by the other sportsmen from other countries, like whether they, because he's from Russia, whether they have, they are treating him any other way. And basically Medvedev thought that this is like an accusation for him that he is doping or something like that. And he, of course, wasn't actually happy about it. But I think that with the way the question was phrased, like I don't think that Medvedev simply got what the question was, because I think the question was fair.
I might watch
90% of Russian athletes weren't there, right? So
yeah, I might watch the Beckham one. That might happen. The David Beckham documentary. That's timeless as well in a way. So it's not like like with the Breakpoint when you're looking back on a recent-ish Grand Slam. Whereas David Beckham is obviously talking about a subject from 20, 30 years ago that was obviously close to my heart. So I might watch that at some point this year.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times, but like Breakpoint does one thing wrong. Like there's no audience, there's no specific group of audience that it really manages to land. The diehards aren't going to be thrilled by this. The casuals won't even understand what what tennis is all about, and people like sort of in the middle of that also not really. So it's kind of hard to find an audience that would enjoy it.
People will get more annoyed with the editorial decisions of 2 episodes about Kyrgios and 1 about Zverev too.
Yeah, and it is weird. Like it just shouldn't exist.
I mean, the people that like, let's take Kyrgios, his big fans, let's say, who may be diehards or whatever too, they're not going to be into to Breakpoint for some of the reasons we just highlighted, whether they focus on Nick or not. And there's not enough. I think if they got Novak, Serena, Rafa, then that would change something. But they're not getting them, obviously, for one reason or another.
Yeah, they clearly went for like a certain demographic, which is like the Sakaris and Fritzes of the world. The players sort of on the outside looking in, if you may. Like
those 2 players,
if we're talking about like big titles or something like that. But they aren't exactly the most marketable stars. I guess with Fritz, it was also the girlfriend.
Right, yeah, Raducanu is one they could. Of course, she's not been on the tour for large parts of the last 12 months, so that's probably a tricky one. And she might not be up for it either. I don't know. The way Raducanu is advised, actually, she might well be up for it, but because I think she's not necessarily always best advised. Because my advice to
that's
her is
another breakpoint for Rublev. So like it's every single game now that Sinner is struggling. Not an ace this time as well. So this is the best opportunity that Andrey had, and Yeah, he completely blows it. Yeah, that's almost criminal, honestly. Because the previous 2 breakpoints in the previous 2 games, Sinner hits an ace, nothing you can do about it. But here just misses a regulation forehand, wasn't even going for it. I actually thought because the return was deep, the return was good, Sinner had to lift the ball a little bit. So I actually thought we might get another one of these very fast Rublev cross-court forehands. Maybe he was in 2 minds whether to go for it or not. I don't know, but certainly the shot that he actually chose was just a safe sort of bailout, and yeah, he misses that. He actually gets it quite long. So that's the 3rd consecutive Sinner service game where Rublev has a breakpoint, and so far they haven't been taken, of course. And Sinner is already there with the advantage after the +1 forehand down the line. So. And another good serve. So 4-all, and that is a big opportunity miss for Rublev. Not that he was already in control of the rally or something, but yeah, just gave a cheap error.
Sinner's just sort of stretching a bit there. Can you see that? He's getting his towel.
Yeah, and it's similar to that stomach as well earlier. Like he isn't feeling 100%. I think like it's not enough to impact his game really, but he might be a little lower on the intensity or something. You also had the one of his coaches, not Darren Cahill, but one of the other guys showing him something now. I'm not really sure, but it could have been. It seemed like it might be something more so related to that physicality rather than game, but I don't know. Tough to say, but it seems that Sinner isn't exactly like feeling that okay physically, or at least 100%. But of course, yeah, it hasn't been enough to impact his game. So let's see if this turns into something or not.
Now we're at little interesting service game here for Rublev, because obviously having had that opportunity and so close to such a serious point in this.
And that backhand error isn't gonna help either. So it's now love 30. Again, Sinner grabbing his stomach a bit.
There's a Ronnie O'Sullivan.
No clue what it is about. I don't know.
Sean's saying there's one about Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's quite good.
Ronnie is going for the calendar Grand Slam this year.
Is he? So what's that, like a Masters UK and World, is it? Is that the slam?
Exactly, yeah. Triple crown. And he's never won it in one season. Only Andrey, Davis, and Mark Williams have. So.
Mark
and
Williams
also it would be his 8th, in 2002, 2003, I think. And it would be his 8th World Championship as well, which would have him as the sole leader ahead of Andrey. So basically, yeah, it would be pretty big. So he's the GOAT anyway.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT anyway. Like there's no argument about it. But like that World Championship title would like just end any debate, even if there isn't any like right now. But like it will end any debate if he gets there. And yeah, it's still like it's a big achievement he's never actually done, which might seem actually kind of shocking. But yeah, he has 8. And so it actually would be his 8th at every single one of these. So he has 8 Masters, 8 UK Championships, and also 7 World Championships for now. And he's also won the World Grand Prix just yesterday or 2 days ago. Basically, he's dominating everyone right now. Sinner just a little more like explosive out of these corners when he's defending. Just is able to get back a lot more shots with interest and like actually not surrender control to Rublev rather than the other way around. Gets a break point. Netflix and yeah. We'll see if after all of these chances that, well, only one really Andrey missed, what happens here. Yeah, I don't like this, but okay, he eventually gets the point. But he like wasn't really too confident on these forehands, and this is an example of a point where Rublev should be at the net. Like he has a great position in the rally, and he just lets Sinner back into it. Of course, Sinner eventually didn't manage to take it. He misses that backhand on the defense, but this is an example of a rally where if he actually has a transition game, this should be going much more smoothly. But well, the breakpoint has been saved, but what a return from Sinner on the stretch. He lunges into it and fires this forehand cross angle. So another breakpoint for the young Italian.
Yeah. Feels a bit Groundhog Day this set. We keep seeing the same sort of moments of pressure for each player.
Yeah, the second set has had a lot of like small chances, 1 breakpoint, 2 breakpoints. Nothing has been taken so far. But now Sinner gets a pretty accidental return on the line. But he will throw out the next shot, trying to loop it back in, but just putting a bit too much spin on it, I guess. And yeah, we're back to deuce again. So maybe this will be another game of chances that were not exactly converted by the players. Similarly to what I said earlier about Sabalenka, I feel like Sinner is also a player I've barely watched this Australian Open before this match. There was no point to really.
No.
And that's the same with Sabalenka.
Djokovic is going to lose a match at the Australian Open at some point in his life. And so I just don't want to miss that one, which is why for example, like the Popyrin match, I think we covered it. But if we didn't, I saw that it was getting a lot of interest at some point when I think Popyrin had 3
I wasn't doing it.
I don't know if we did it then. It might have just been, I saw lots of people going crazy about it at the same time. And that just made me think, the problem is if this goes 5 and it ends up being, say, a Popyrin win, it's the one that maybe we didn't do it. And I might have had in my mind, maybe we should have done just because of that possibility. So what I'm getting at is, why have I seen Djokovic matches, even if there's not a huge amount of jeopardy, as opposed to Sinner matches? I mean, if you miss Sinner going out, it's like, wow, that's a shock. But it's not like shock of the decade, like an Istomin or
Dino Prismic if he won. But yeah, the Prismic match, I think, was a good example where we weren't expecting but we actually got a pretty big story, a pretty big headline. And I remember, I think I even said it because that was the one you weren't producing. I think that was the one where you were just asleep. So I was just sitting here by myself and like talking to the new Matthew and a couple of other guys in the chat, and like basically that's what I said, that this is a match that I usually wouldn't maybe even watch unless I would maybe turn it on, midway through the second set because it's suddenly close. But I was actually glad that I'm doing it, because otherwise, I wouldn't really care about it and I wouldn't even watch it. But it turned out to be a pretty important match for both Prismic and Djokovic.
Juice number 4 is this off? Juice 4, yeah. I've got maybe I'm a different point on my stream. I've got advantage Rublev now.
Seems like my internet is going through some tougher times now.
So, advantage Andrey Rublev for a 5-4 lead. It's a decent serve out wide. And it looks like it's going to be enough for him to hold it. It is, yeah, 5-4. You've got. Are you on your phone? Because I've got 2 cameras for you right now.
2 cameras for you? Oh,
Yeah.
that must
Have
be
you logged
something.
in on two windows, maybe 2 different?
No, absolutely not.
Look, watch this. Watch this. I'll take you out and I'll put this person in. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
don't know.
the other one is suggesting an internet. Look at this. Watch this. This one suggests an internet problem. Oh, he's gone now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, never mind. I don't know. It's weird. Theoretically, I shouldn't have any rush hour internet issues like you because I'm just using the one from my phone. So, straight up from the operator. So it shouldn't be any issues. But who knows?
Andrey ran off the court. I don't know what that was about. He's
Maybe
back
he wanted
now.
to puke.
And maybe he's going to turn into
post-puke version of Rublev.
Yeah.
Another game where he escapes, and it's not only Sinner that has been escaping all these chances. It's also Rublev in the second set. Before I went away, I saw that ridiculous backhand down the line from Sinner. But after that, nothing much. So I don't know how he clinched that game, but a few minor chances again here for Sinner this time.
And let's see Sinner now serving with if there are any sort of issues with the stomach. And he's just.
I mean, his serving has been okay, and he instantly proves it with the first point. So,
but I'm just also interested to see him. If he just reach for his stomach as he stretches on these serves. But it looks all right at the moment. Just keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, I mean, there is something there, but it doesn't look serious for now.
Second serve. Oh, is that what it was, Terry? I thought it might be. Double fault.
Yeah, just went to the loo.
The umpire thought it was amusing anyway.
People using the toilet? Yeah. Super fun. I was just thinking about what we were talking about earlier about the serving of Sinner and Rublev. Just trying to see, and Sinner has a bit of a better, over the past 52 weeks, he has barely better serve stats on Rublev, but I would say he's the better server right now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you honed it a bit more in 6 months, I don't know.
I know. But I didn't want to do it since this is also a peak version of Rublev. So of course, of Sinner. So he's obviously going to be winning more points. Regardless of the quality of his serve, he's also going to be winning more points simply because he's better in any other aspect of the game. So I wanted actually to have the sample a little larger.
2 game points for Sinner, and at 15 all, that's a couple of tricky points for the Italian in terms of pressure because of how close he could be to losing the set.
Obviously, on second serve, Sinner is also really high, but that's rather than the quality of the second serve. I would suggest that that's the quality of his baseline play. And it's literally the best players when it comes to points won on second serve are Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner. So I think there the quality of the baseline game matters a lot more than the actual second serve. Unless there are some extreme cases.
It's a lovely bit of footwork there from Rublev, and then forehand across court.
Especially as it seemed like Sinner has already managed to turn it back at least to neutral, but no.
You could play that little clip to an amateur who's sort of not necessarily understanding what you mean by getting your footwork right and how to do things, so you're in the right position, so you can hit that kind of forehand.
And what would happen then? Because
I mean, it wasn't out of this world footwork. It wasn't like, wow, how the hell did he do that quickly? But it was just good. It's good what you should do. You're ready for it.
It was definitely above average.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a yellow tick, green tick, or just a thumbs up.
Sometimes I see players hitting the ball. I mean, I'm talking about amateurs, where they're just sort of doing, and if you're doing that, then you've not moved quick enough probably to get yourself in the right position to hit yourself a nice, comfy forehand. If the person who's hitting the ball at you hasn't hit it 1,000 miles an hour, if you're doing that off a regular shot, then you've not got yourself in the right position quick enough.
Yeah.
And I see it a lot amongst amateurs and Taylor Fritz. That was just too easy. That was cheap.
Yeah, and Taylor actually did very well today, but he did look wildly unathletic as well in the meantime.
It's looking reasonably comfortable for Ruby right now.
Yep. 1 point away from securing the tiebreak, and then maybe, just maybe, some opportunities on the Sinner serve can also pop up.
An ace.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, snacking before the stream is turning out to be a great decision, because it clearly will be at least 2.5 hours long, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it does feel quite a while ago since Andrey and I were doing the first set for Coco and Kostyuk.
I thought you were going to talk about Rublev, like Andrey and Andrey.
Okay, yeah.
It sounded similar. And then you said that you were doing something, and I was like, is it going to be another one of these John brags when he says that, it seems a while ago that me and Andrey were talking at the event in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever, having dinner together.
Yeah, have you been on the stream for every minute of the action today?
More or less. There might have been a few minutes when you and Vanch were around, and I was doing the washing up, the dishes,
Remember that? We heard the clinking.
I added a bit of atmosphere, maybe, so I left the mic on and the camera on too. And I might have switched the camera off for a minute or so. I think that's about it. What other matches were there? I mean,
Miles says, how are we still up? I don't know about John, but I did literally go to sleep at 8 p.m. my time last night. I woke up for 3 a.m., which was exactly when the Kostyuk golf match was finishing. So for me, it's only 11 hours of my day. So maybe in a more usual sleeping schedule, if you would wake up at 8 a.m., then for me, it's just 7 p.m. So
in 7.5 hours, a friend and I, 7.5 hours from now, a friend and I are going for a jog, and that's fixed. So it's as long as this is done in 4, then it's all right, because I can get away with 6 hours. That's enough.
Because you want to sleep before that. Okay.
Yeah, I will go. Basically, I mean, actually, to be honest with you, after the Djokovic match, I was probably ready to sleep, but I feel okay again now.
I'm not gonna go to sleep right after the stream anyway. So
I will, and then I'll sleep for 6 hours, and then I'll go for the jog, and then chill, let's say, and then be ready for the first 2 matches for sure. I've got some things to do away from tennis tomorrow morning, and but I'm okay now, because it's really now in terms of it's the final stretch now. So it's like, okay, we've got these 4 matches tomorrow, but I've got a sleeping pattern now scheduled for the next 24, 36 hours. So, and
then since it's from Thursday onwards, it's basically going to be just night session, really.
Yeah.
Well, of course, on Friday there's going to be one men's semifinal starting at like 4:30 a.m. my time, I think. So probably about 2:30 in Australia. So that's like the last late night match that you might have to watch. I'll see how the junior things are scheduled and etc. I might be still scheduling myself for something different, but yeah, it's gonna be easier the next few days, and certainly it's not as hard as it was in Bonn last year.
For sure,
there's been a lot more sleep that I was able to get just like midway.
Oh look, Craig Tiley's out there. Obviously told him, look, too many insects on court.
Yeah, he's thinking, which tennis player should I announce for the Australian Open in 2029?
Roger Federer.
Andrey, do you want to play the Australian Open in 2029? Craig, but I don't know. I mean, I might be injured. I might be off the court for some reason. No, you're playing, right? Oh, okay, announce me. Well, I mean, actually, it doesn't look like that because usually Craig Tiley just never asks. Like he literally just announces.
He just posts.
So
even the Rafa one, he made a comment about him certain to play the Australian Open back in, I think, October, and Rafa then put out a statement very quickly saying that I have a good relationship.
He doesn't know, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm playing it. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, of course, he's probably thinking about is what bottle of champagne to buy for Novak, even though Novak doesn't drink after the final. Novak is the only player he gets the champagne out for. Ooh, at Juice now.
That's 10 occasions then, so that's actually pretty huge. And that's also a pretty huge Rublev forehand. Actually, whenever Rublev is like pushed to that forehand, he is able to come up with some good cross counters. It's only really on the other side of the court where he's like a little not dangerous, I guess, not a threat.
I wonder what Sinner's serve speeds are for this second set compared to the first.
I can tell you that. The Australian Open website, in fact, can probably more so than me, but
if they've gone down a bit, just the number of break opportunities that Andrey has had, and
I mean they've both had a lot, right?
Yeah, but I'm more interested in Jannik's because Jannik has only gave away 2 breakpoint opportunities in the first set, and it feels like he's given away about 6 or 7 in the second. And there's this physicality issue as well. But if the service speeds are the same, then they're the same, or even better in the second. But
all right, so second set, fastest 204, average 196. Whereas the opening set, fastest 206, average 195. So it's literally the same.
Yeah, slightly down, but yeah.
Average down by 1, fastest... No, average up by 1, actually. And fastest down by 2.
Oh, okay, I thought it was down by 1.
No, I mean, it's the same. It's literally the same. Actually, it's also very close. Like, it seems like Sinner's... Every single serve of Sinner is pretty similar then, right? Because the fastest serve and the average are so close to one another.
Yep. Okay, so Rublev to serve first in the tiebreak. So here we go. Bit of an important moment in the match because 2 sets to love, and yeah. But 1 set all, and with Sinner maybe not quite 100%. We're still speculating on that. And he goes long then. He's frustrated with that one, Jannik.
Yeah, I mean, for Rublev having all the momentum here, that could get interesting for sure. If he wins the tiebreak, if he loses the tiebreak, we're probably already sort of starting to think about the semi between Djokovic and Sinner, and who will be the winner, and when I will eat my dinner. That was horrific, but well. You chuckled, so I take that as a win.
No, I didn't chuckle. That wasn't a chuckle. That was a
That's still a chuckle. I count that as a chuckle.
For me, that's a chuckle. Clutching at straws.
That's what I do when someone tells me a joke and I don't understand it, or like someone tells me a joke and I didn't quite hear it, and then I'm like, yeah. A friend of mine once did that in school to another guy, and it was actually pretty scary because apparently that guy was talking about his grandma dying. And
yeah, that can happen. Yeah. I know someone in a similar situation. This is 10 or 15 years ago when these initials that we now use quite frequently were less known. And she thought LOL meant lots of love. So upon hearing that a friend of hers had suffered a bereavement in the family, albeit not immediate family, but distant, it could have been grandparent or great uncle or something. And she's like, oh, sorry to hear that, LOL. It is funny, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It is funny, but also true.
Once you actually know what happened, it is really funny. You can see the humor in it. But from the perspective of a person who sees that message,
listen, if it happened to me, I would be so sure that there'd been something missing, that it would be.
I would just consider it weird enough that I don't think I would even ask. But
yeah, that's the problem. Actually, you might not find out. The only thing
I would just sort of ignore it and try not to think about it too much.
She was mortified when she realized.
And that's an ace from Rublev as well. So 3-1 up now with a mini break. This is seriously looking like an opportunity for the Russian to get a set here and to also basically make this match a 50-50 for now, which it has been really close. Like, it's really been about taking chances and not.
Yeah, and it's now 4-1.
In the second set, basically not taking chances was the main story for either player. But yeah, now he's also putting Sinner on the back foot pretty consistently. That also comes from good serving, though. And Sinner will have to be very clean from now on to get this tiebreak. Certainly can't afford to lose any of the next 2 points.
Well,
and he does lose one of the next 2 points, which just has Rublev taking over again. Deep backhand and then the forehand winner. I mean, his forehand has been pretty amazing in this tiebreak. So this does look like a
one set all, it feels like, yeah.
Good one for him.
And then to me, it comes down to Sinner and the physicality. If Sinner is fine, he gets the job done one way or another. But if he's not,
someone in a group chat I'm on already saying that that's it for Sinner and he's struggling physically. But well, maybe a little, but is it really enough to say that this match is over? Of course not.
Not yet. No, we need to see how the third set begins. Are they a big Sinner fan and they're panicking, or?
Not really.
Just have to see how the beginning of it, presuming this, is going to go the way of Rublev. See how the first few games of the third set go. I mean, there's still time for a Rublev wobble here.
Yeah, and he's been getting all of these serves on literally on the line in the tiebreak, including this one. Of course, it didn't actually win him the point. Maybe his next shots will, but. Wow.
I mean, this is...
Struggling physically, my ass. He might be a little down on intensity or something, energy, but he's still capable of playing very close to his best. And that rally was of course kind of that. Didn't even feel like such a risky shot, honestly. Despite being huge and despite like being on the run. So one more point on serve for Rublev to really take advantage of the early lead that he built up. Second serve though. I do think, at least in a way, this is a bit Rublev getting nervy, because I'm not saying that he had any moment real in the rally where he like was in control, or, like had the opportunity to go big, but just the positioning, how he actually started falling behind the baseline a bit, despite not getting that much pressure on himself. I don't like how he played at this point. Even the last get, it was possible to catch it.
I mean, it's 4 points in a row now from 5-1. And at 5-1, I then used still, this could well go the way of Andrey still yet, but at 5-1, I said, we still might get a wobble yet from Andrey.
He got that, but it's still 2 points that Sinner needs to win on his own serve now. That's a weird second serve. I don't know if he mishit it. Maybe he mishit it a little bit or something like that. But yeah, Rublev doesn't get it back. It basically landed at the body of Rublev eventually. He like misjudged it completely. I don't know, the trajectory of that was a little weird, but I don't know. It is 5-5
Sean,
anyway.
they're saying, tweeting before a set is over is risky. Sean, do you and I follow each other on Twitter, by the way? We might do. I don't know. Sometimes people, you just don't know their names. Tell you who I haven't seen around for a long time in the chat is Ghibli. I remember him being in the chat quite a bit a year ago during the Australian. And he did make the odd occasional appearance over the next 6 months. But
he did like come and go, though. Like he wasn't...
he was never... Yeah, he was not...
Presence.
He was never...
He would like show up for like 10, 15 minutes, but he had interesting things to say always. He was very knowledgeable.
And I think he used to occasionally make donations as well. He must be British.
That's why we're missing him. That's why you're missing him. Where is Ghibli? Where is Ghibli's money? And I guess he must have been a fan of anime.
Sean's not on Twitter. I think he was referring to your friend who was posting messages in your group.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, this is the big point now. Sinner in control pretty much from the start of the point, but Rublev holding on, and he misses the backhand line. 7-5 Sinner after going down 1-5. This really feels like the match is over now, but we'll see. Of course, there's like a lot of momentum that Rublev will now have to sort of overcome and shift it around. But yeah,
to arrest the momentum. Yeah.
Let's see what my friend said. Oh, maybe he's actually really rooting for Sinner because he said Forza with like 5 ace.
Yeah,
so,
okay, yeah.
Apparently he might be rooting for Sinner, but I didn't know that he's actually. And why not? Let's just start using names. You know him, or at least was trying to get to know him. Alex, the German guy.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, when you trying to get to him, yeah.
He is of Italian origin, so maybe it's the Italian blood in him, you know.
Where is he in Germany?
Somewhere around you. Yes.
Oh, really?
Somewhere in that part. I know. Let me think, because there's an ITF that is like really close to him. I think it might be like Meerbusch.
North Rhine-Westphalia, maybe in that region, which is where I am.
In that region where like half the cities in Germany are located.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think Hosdorf also, the challenger right next to you, like right next to the airport in Cologne. I think that was also something that he is very close to. So I think he must be like very close to you. I don't know for sure. I don't remember, but I know he's in that part where a lot of tennis events are basically. because in Poland it's a little frustrating to me because every single event is like on the western border. Yeah. So it's not that easy to get somewhere.
Hello, behind the mic. Watching from work. Cool. Hit the like button. I think you're a subscriber already, so I won't pitch that to you. Yes, it's 5-1. I said there was still time for a wobble, and that was a hell of a wobble. 6 points in a row.
At least challengers I was talking about, because Munich and Hamburg are pretty close to Poland, but not. Yeah, the challengers mostly are on the western side. Munich, I guess, isn't that close either.
Anything exciting going on outside my window? No. Traffic going by. I can, of course, make the whole window my view, but I don't know if it'll make it much better. So I can do this and get rid of this. And then you just see a much. So 2 sets to love. Yeah. Let's see how that physicality.
Terry says the lava cake is about to explode. Is it about the psyche of Andrey Rublev?
Anyway.
Well, even if Sinner might not be like fully 100%, he did like muster it up for the last few points. Literally gave everything he could on these, and then that running forehand, especially on the run, that was such a phenomenal shot. It did feel like Rublev also just moved backwards a tad in terms of his court positioning, and definitely wasn't hitting the forehand as aggressively as he was in the first 6 points. So, of course, a real key moment there.
Jane, the lava cake is about to explode. Yeah. She might have gone back to sleep. Although it's now a more reasonable 8:46 in New York. And Sinner is held for 1 love. Yeah, Melbourne has quite a strong Italian contingent too. So that may also explain, actually, looking back, I'd forgotten about that point, that there is a large Italian community in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Christian Vieri, the Italian striker from the early 2000s. He may have been born in Australia even, actually.
Ooh.
When he spoke English, he spoke with an Australian accent, yeah.
I guess he played there maybe later on, or no?
No, he just was Australian-ish.
Oh, so he didn't.
He was I think he was either born in Australia or grew up there or something.
Because some did. I was just thinking if maybe he then returned.
Del Piero moved to Australia to play.
Del Piero, he definitely played, yeah. Whatever club. I never remember.
Glasgow has a little bit. Glasgow's
Vieri
a
moved
funny
with
city.
his family to Australia as a child.
Okay. There you go.
but then returned to Italy to pursue their professional career. But it looks like even in the youths, he never actually played in Australia.
Okay. Yeah, Glasgow's another funny one where it's just like a lot of Italians. Dusseldorf is a Japanese thing going on. Sao Paulo as well, big Japanese community. Huge. I think maybe even the biggest outside of Japan is in Sao Paulo. But Dusseldorf too is another sort of random diaspora there. Japanese. Lots of Japanese.
You know what the second biggest Polish city is? And think
The
of it as
second
a
biggest-
trick. Think of it as a trick question.
Okay, if it's a trick question, then it is Gdansk or something like this.
No, not quite as trick. Like not that sort of way. Tricky.
So it's not a double trick. It's not it's not
like the second biggest right now is Krakow, and you probably know it. But the basically it's a tricky question for another reason. It's not just going to be another Polish city that you know.
Oh, okay. So it's just a random Polish city like Lublin or something, or
Not really. What I'm trying to go for is that in Chicago there's over 1 million Poles, which essentially
Okay.
makes
So
that
it's the Melbourne Greek thing. It's the Japanese Sao Paulo
Jackowo
thing.
is the name of the like borough or whatever of Chicago, and it is bigger than any other city rather than Warsaw in terms of its Polish inhabitants.
I actually probably wouldn't have guessed Chicago, but I should have done just because actually I'd heard about this huge Polish community there. I think there's quite a few Polish people in Canada too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Might be Montreal or Toronto, one of those. Probably Toronto. Rublev is cutting a very
Filip
sad
Palivo's
figure.
parents, for example, the 4-time Grand Slam finalist in the juniors, still playing right now. His parents moved from Poland to Canada just before he was born, but I think they moved to Vancouver. So a tennis connection as well.
Mike Krzyzewski, who I must say I've never heard of, but apparently he's a basketball coach.
Good for Rublev that he was able to like weather the storm, and weather the storm maybe is a stretch because it's not like he was losing games left and right, but just stop a bit of that momentum for Sinner. There's some absolutely sensational defending here from Jannik. He gets the point back to neutral, but he tries a drop shot. But I think that was a way of bailing out of it. Even Rublev is struggling after that, breathing heavily, and just has to recover for a few seconds before playing the next point. I think Sinner did use that drop shot as a bailout here. Okay, so on these replays where we see like the whole rally, they show us, I guess, the green shots are the ones which are close to the line, which Sinner had 2 of them, Rublev had 1, but these I'm not a big fan of these replays. I don't feel like they actually tell us all that much, or at least if they do, it's like done quickly enough where you're not really able to get the most out of it. There was a pretty fun poster of Sinner where it said Jannik the Incinerator. And of course, instead of Sinner with a C, it was Sinner. So that's pretty funny. It's a new nickname for Brad Gilbert. I don't know what his current nickname is, but for Jannik Sinner.
Like Sin City, is it, or something maybe?
Oh, something like that, probably, or Sinnerman or whatever. Yeah, something like that. Or like I wanted to come up with an Italian alpine skier, but yeah, I'm struggling. I don't know. Dominic Paris, was he maybe Italian? I think he was. So, but yeah, that's definitely not the Brad Gilbert nickname for Jannik Sinner. Brad Gilbert is too focused on Coco Golf right now. He can't be sitting there and coming up with nicknames.
Well, you'd think so, right? But I think he has still been doing some ESPN work, which
I
again
guess.
baffles.
Yeah, I mean, Cahill was always doing that when he was with Halep, right?
But he's not doing it anymore. I think he was doing it last in New York, but I think maybe he was doing it more when Jannik was out of the tournament.
He definitely was doing that for a long while when he was with Halep, and combining the two. I guess with Sinner as well. I just never really paid much attention to it. And that's a breakpoint for Rublev, as Sinner is definitely looking a little down on energy, I would say. We'll see how it goes. That first rally in this game as well, the 30 shots, I think it took a lot out of both players. Sinner sort of never really showed it. It was Rublev who showed the fatigue more, but and the second serve as well on the breakpoint. Pretty deep though at the body. I like that serve. Yeah, Rublev a little frustrated with himself, but this is not like the one he missed in the tiebreak when he was ahead by so much and just misjudged it. Here he actually, I think, was surprised by the pace, the depth on it. That was a very good second serve. If we get a full-on view of the stadium, I might be able to see how fast it was on the speed gun as well, but I would assume it was actually higher than his average. Oh, actually, it's 164. So more or less his average on second serve. But the depth and the spin was really good. He follows it up with a +1 forehand error, though. So another breakpoint.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit scrappy, messy for Sinner right now. But maybe if he gets through a game or something. He still hasn't been broken, by the way. Which, given all the chances that Rublev has had, definitely feels like a bit of a story.
Yeah.
And he should get this point. Yes, indeed.
0 from 8, Andrey. It's not quite Djokovic-esque levels from earlier today.
Yeah, no. We might get to 0-15, but we aren't there yet. I'm wondering what the people on Twitter are making out of this Sinner physical issue. We saw it, Terry saw it, Alex saw it, but I'm not sure if it's a big deal in the Twitter conversation. Maybe I'll just type in Sinner into the search engine and see if someone was talking about it. Ooh. Unleashes on the backhand inside out, Rublev. Yeah, the problem is that a lot of these tweets are in Italian or Spanish, and I might actually translate them, but I don't know which one is worth it.
So this is some messages on Twitter or some posts on Twitter about Jannik's health, right?
Yeah, I just typed in Sinner into the search engine, and so far I haven't been able to find anyone talking about it, really.
We are obviously now at 2-1 though, so there's a little storm been weathered by Jannik. Oh, I've got a private message. Oh, I didn't know. Okay, Matthew. I've just seen so behind the mic is Matthew. I didn't know that. So
Which
that's
Matthew?
why.
Because we now have like 3 of them.
Yeah, Matthew, who does commentary for us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, which is cool. How
many breakpoints has Rublev had, and is it a positive that Sinner has to fight them off in preparation for Djokovic? 0 out of 9,
8.
Is it right now?
8, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 0 out of 8 by now. Is it a positive that Sinner has had to fight them? I mean, the bigger story is whether he's going to be fine in a long, grueling physical match, probably. But yeah, Sinner had been very clutch this event. I think his breakpoints saved rate is like ridiculous. Didn't save one against Jesper. I think against Botic it was maybe like 5 out of 6 saved. Against Baez it was 4 out of 4. Against Kachanov it was like 11 out of 12 or something along these lines. And today he's 8 out of 8. So, and he's coming up with a lot of big serves as well in these moments. So. I see our friend Ollie, who actually posted about it. Sinner seems to be struggling a bit with some abdominal pain. So, yeah, people have noticed as well.
Seems like I've got a Polish follower on Twitter. A new one, Agnieszka Kretsolek. Presumably a tennis fan. She has... Oh no, it could well be one of these bot accounts.
Yeah, people on Twitter are saying lucky Djokovic indeed, but like that's pretty stupid to me.
Let's see where we're at in the next few hours.
This match won't take anything out of Sinner, Matthew. Yes, I agree, but it's the question of like what exactly the issues are that he's having right now. If this is 3 sets, of course, it's not going to be this much that takes something out of him. The question is like what exactly the nature of these issues are and whether they're going to be fine on Friday. But yeah, I mean, from our perspective so far, we can't really say much. Seemed like something abdominal, but who knows?
I'm just thinking of sort of the Rafa lingering abdominal issue he had during Wimbledon that gradually got worse to the point of no return.
Yeah, and on the other side of that debate, you've got Djokovic, right, who had a huge abdominal tear and recovered in 2 days. So,
yeah, we'll see. I mean, first of all, he's got to win this tennis match.
Exactly. It's really hard to say from just watching it what exactly is going on. He did show some minor signs. Like, he's not really trying to show them either. Like, it's not like a player sort of really goes into it and I'm not saying fakes it, but yeah, just really obviously shows that he is struggling. Sinner has been like keeping it to himself, but it's been enough for us and other people apparently as well to mention.
This set is kind of following the other sets in terms of being nip and tuck. I mean, you might say that, of course, the last set wasn't completely nip and tuck, given the amount of breakpoint opportunities there were.
Yeah, like this has been really competitive, and it's just been Sinner winning more big points, really. And of course, that 1-5 tiebreak has really changed like the whole well, not outcome yet, but the outlook on this
outlook.
match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another like monstrous rally. Sinner hitting a few shots out of position where like he really goes for it because there's no other way at this point. And it's Rublev who makes the forehand error. I think again must have been around 30 shots and a little weaker from 27 and not down. I don't really understand Andrey's choice because he seems to be the player who should enjoy that sort of direction right now. But even if I said that Sinner went for a few risky approaches this rally, then Rublev's last shot was, of course, the most brave one of them all. Well, yeah, there's just not that much fire as well, I guess, in the Sinner hitting at the moment. But he wins the next point. Just has to do it in like 2 or 3 shots, but of course, as he actually takes the point, that doesn't matter. And 40-15 up. Yes, Matthew, but Djokovic has shown it many times that he's able to return from this, right? Sinner is a player who actually has been held back by stuff like this. And obviously Djokovic at Sinner's age was also held back by things like that. So, oh, and by the way, earlier today, when we were talking about all the losses of Djokovic from one set up at slams, we actually didn't mention one, and it was against Andy Roddick at the Australian Open. And the reason why we didn't is because the stats on Tennis Abstracts don't include retirements. So in that stat line of won first set and then lost, retirements aren't included. So it depends, I guess, on your personal opinion of whether this much counts, but there is one more at least.
Matthew wasn't aware about Rublev's 5-1 tiebreak lead yet.
Yeah.
That'll be quite possibly the story of the match.
Fortune, but he had to work for it as well. And yeah, Rublev seemed to me like he sort of just backed off, At 5-1, he just sort of treated the tiebreak as if it's going to automatically just get won at some point. But yeah, he backed down with his court positioning and just didn't really show anything on the next few points. Has to be said though that one of the rallies was pretty spectacular, and the 150+ km/h forehand winner from Sinner on the run forehand cross is like one of the best shots of the match so far. So, but yeah, the Rublev actually set up that 5-1 lead with like a few forehand winners. I think it was like 3 maybe in that tiebreak. He was really blasting it, and then never did that on the next 6 points. 3 of them, of course, on his own serve. He also stopped hitting the lines with his serve, which at first in the tiebreaks was also a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And now he tries to go to the net, and we can see why he doesn't most of the time. Near miss on the return from Sinner. Oh, actually, they showed us the close call, but it wasn't that close, I suppose. But anyway. Ooh, did Rublev make it? I think he did. Also an important shot because it's such a big deal whether you're 30-15 up or 15-30 up or 15-30 down, but he just barely lands it. Netcourt helps Sinner a tad, but he doesn't help himself with the backhand error, so we might be heading for a 3-all situation here. Still yet to be broken, Jannik, in this match. Rublev, of course, just once, despite many chances for both players.
What did we say for the tournament so far for Jannik? Twice, is it?
Yes, one against Botic, one against Khachanov.
It's not bad for 4 matches, whoever you're playing.
Oh, definitely, no. Especially in the best of 5 format. He wins the point with his big forehand return as well. So 40-30.
Is it true that the Australian Open now is faster than Wimbledon? Is that what they say?
It might be. And the US Open in recent years has sped up a lot. I think it was definitely true a few years ago. I think the conditions this year are a little slower. That might be the effect of the balls, though, rather than the court.
Yeah.
But like 2 years ago, last year especially, definitely the Australian Open was faster than Wimbledon. Wimbledon is the slowest grass court event on tour, probably, as well. It still has some of the characteristics, of course.
Yeah, I mean, low bounces stuff, making
low bounces, bad bounces as well. The fact that it's not true, and also the footwork, which is very different. But yeah, speed-wise, it's actually not that fast. I think it was a big talking point along before that Federer-Nadal 2019 Wimbledon clash, where it was like, of course, all the Federer fans were saying this isn't grass anymore. Like, how does he even have an edge on this surface? And the Nadal fans were, oh, Nadal is in such good form because he was like blasting through the field. And then it actually turned out that there's still a bit of a grass court, I don't know, expertise, pedigree you can use to probably dominate on the surface, especially when Federer in the sets 3 and 4 was just literally standing on the baseline and half volleying everything. But yeah, it is different than before, and it doesn't feel like I'm not sure what they could have done with this really. Maybe it's also the balls or something. But they last changed the Wimbledon grass in like 2002. But maybe they also had some minor tweaks that we don't really know about, but it certainly feels a lot slower than 2003, for example. But yeah, Australia this year probably a little slower than last year. Last year it was like really favorable for flat hitters and really fast. But anyway, Jannik Sinner breaks actually. So from that 40-15 position, theoretically comfortable, Andrey Rublev drops a couple of points, and this one is pretty great from Jannik, just a perfect forehand combination. Inside out, then inside in finish, and 4-2, just 2 holes away. It will look more comfortable than it was if Sinner claims it here, and of course, largely due to that tiebreak.
Yeah, I think if the 2 stats that would make you very quickly realize that it wasn't that comfortable would be knowing that Andrey was 5-1 up in the tiebreak, but also the break point conversion. Those 2 stats would then make you go, oh, I see. This could have been 4 or 5 sets, And with a possible similar outcome. Hi, Josh. Don't see you too often, so it's good to see you in the chat today. Hit the like button while you're here. Matthew's keen to go onto the old grass scenario. I know Michael Stich feels similarly. Josh, are you in Australia? Am I right on that one? For some reason, I think Josh is in Australia.
Yeah, carpet and wood. That was crazy. Of course, carpet, 1 challenger, a few ITFs, but nothing on the ATP Tour anymore.
What's that about wood?
Touring is theoretically on wood. It's like an acrylic surface on wood, basically, which is also why. Yeah.
Maybe Billie Jean King Cup was something like that. There was some conversation about wood there.
Maybe Taylor Fritz was moving it.
Because he's a bit wooden, you mean?
Yeah.
There is something a bit Woody-like in terms of the character from Toy Story. Sort of Taylor Frisk-esque. .30-15 now on the Jannik Sinner serve. It just feel like we're entering the final stages and the nail in the coffin of Jannik Sinner. Sorry, of Andrey Rublev's 10th quarterfinal or 9th. Today's the 10th, I think.
Today is the 10th.
The main thing about the way how close this was and how it could have been different is just what would we have seen from Jannik in sets 4 and 5 had that panned out. That's where the doubt comes in. Two game points now for Jannik to seal a 5-2 lead. And seal it he does. So he's one game away from a place in the semi-finals to set up a match which will be eagerly anticipated against Novak Djokovic, somebody, of course, he met in quick succession 3 times last year. I'm going to say 10, 11 days. I think we spoke about this once to try and remember just exactly how many days it was. It might have been a bit more than that. I think it was like Tuesday, Sunday.
Djokovic Sinner, like 11 or 12, depending on how you count, I think.
Yeah, Tuesday, Sunday, Saturday, something like that.
Tuesday, Sunday, Saturday, yeah, literally.
Unless it was Wednesday, but I think it was Tuesday.
No, it has to be Tuesday because on Sunday Djokovic clinched number 1. It was Djokovic Rune on Sunday. Yeah. So they played second match in the groups, but it was the Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday group.
And of course, Djokovic won 1 but lost 2. Of course, the one he won was arguably the most important, certainly on an individual level. And a ranking points level. I wonder maybe Novak would rather have won the Davis Cup. Maybe. He's sealed number 1 in the world. I think his fans, because of the global nature of them, would rather he won the ATP Tour Finals. Oh, maybe Marketa Vondrousova has lost in the first round doesn't quite seem so dramatic anymore. Bearing in mind she lost to Yastremska. Which reminds me, I should set some of these streams up. Rublev at least is keeping his opponent honest by making Jannik serve this one out.
All right. There hasn't been any breaks for Rublev in this match so far. I mean, now is the time. Now is the time for him to secure one if he is to stay in it.
At least he's won the first point anyway.
Yes, indeed, and not much will in Jannik to get after to chase down that last ball. He might really need it to claim it and free as well. We were probably expecting actually Rublev to be maybe a little tired after that amazing match with the Vinor, but it seems like it's definitely Jannik who's a bit more fragile today. So going 4 or 5 doesn't necessarily suit him. And yeah, that's the sort of makeable return that Rublev really doesn't want right now.
I'll catch Medvedev, of course, tomorrow on the channel. Alcaraz, Zverev 2. $30 here on the Jannik Sinner serve, so a little pressure for the Italian to deal with. But now he does get a match point. And this could be good night Vienna.
Yeah, interesting choice with the smash as well. Kinda at Rublev, but of course, when you're putting away a shot like that, 90% of the time it's not gonna make a difference. And that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So Ghosty should issue an apology to us.
Yes. I wonder if he will. Bashing or otherwise. That was really about
Ghosty is now
5-1.
bashing his head against the wall.
Yeah. And again, it's like, yeah, Rublev just needs to get a little bit luckier with these draws, you know.
But here we can actually blame him for something, right? And that's, well, not converting any breakpoints, but first and foremost, the 5-1 tiebreak lead, where he plays like a sequence of great points and then he just tones it down, just a touch. Like that was enough, literally.
Maybe as you said, he just, I mean, my inclination is that at that point, he just goes, you know what, I've really been ballsy to now and done great, that actually I can probably, this is pure speculation, I can maybe get away with just getting over the line by being normal for the next few points. And actually, he's right in a way. That will 7-8 times out of 10 win that tiebreak from that vantage point. But today, playing Jannik Sinner, who's still continuing the form of his life. I mean, we might have to stop saying the form of his life at some point with Jannik Sinner. I think if he goes on to win the Australian Open, we might have to just go, well, this is Jannik Sinner. And that's where we're at, basically.
He was still clutch. He was still clutch from 1-5 down. He was still clutch on breakpoints. Of course, he saved all of them. And still just broken twice. So basically the main question for Friday is not whether Jannik Sinner has the level to fight with Djokovic. It's not whether Jannik Sinner will play pretty well, because he will. It's just a question of that minor physical issue, like if it's anything important. Because you give him that against Djokovic and it could become a big thing, right? Like if his intensity is just a little lower, energy, maybe if he needs to manage it a little bit, as I think he did today, because he literally like had some moments when he wouldn't maybe go after every ball, or like, that was visibly, I don't want to say even unwell, because it really didn't impact his game all that much, but, was feeling something, some sensation of whatever sort. And we saw that he was still able to like gather himself up, pick himself up for some important point, or for a whole sequence of them, just as in the second set tiebreak. So, the only question really for me when it comes to whether the match will be good is that maybe, but especially as that will probably include more like physical, fast-paced, high-octane rallies. Djokovic, Sinner. This one also had some 30-shot points, and I think at least on one occasion there was this 30-shot rally where after that Sinner fell into a bit of trouble on serve, and it did seem to impact him for a while. Whatever, but hopefully this is just not a thing. Hopefully this is just not important at all, and hopefully we just get a ridiculously good match on Friday, and there's a big chance of that actually happening.
Yeah, fingers crossed we get something like we've had across all three matches. I know one was a bit more one-sided than the other, but that was still, if that match was 5 sets, who knows? That may have gone 4 or 5 sets in the end. I would imagine it might have been 4, but we'd have still marvelled at certain elements of that. And if they can both bring it as they did for certainly the first match in Turin and moments, probably the third set, I would say, in Malaga, then we're in for a treat. Let's keep our fingers crossed, because sometimes we get excited and pumped and we get a French Open semi-final, which of course was extremely cool for 2 hours, less so for the next hour and a half or so. But fingers crossed we get what we deserve, because we feel like we deserve it.
We've been streaming for the past 12 hours. We deserve the good match on Friday. We deserve the good matches to talk about on Friday. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I've been streaming for 10 hours. You've been for 12, but I think I still deserve it.
You do. And
give me a present. Give me a present on Friday. I don't know for what occasion, but give me a present.
Well, it was your birthday recently, 10 days ago, was it?
7 days ago, yeah. So
so it's pretty much always your birthday during the Australian Open.
Pretty much.
What about 5 Grand Slam titles for Roger Federer from nowhere and deduct a few?
Honestly, I don't want it. I honestly can tell you that I don't want it if I can't watch it happen.
Yeah, no, I get that.
If I could watch it happen, yes. If Federer comes back, wins the next 5 slams, of course. But if it's just literally numbers added to his history books, no, I don't I don't give a damn about that. No.
Yeah, I totally understand that. All right, Rodsalia Nazriova is very pleased with the Jannik victory today with some carrots.
Lots
and
of carrot
balls.
emotes.
Yes, I like that, to be honest.
Some rockets as well? No, I don't know.
Not sure.
No, these are not rockets.
I think the carrots and tennis balls and a rose. Rodsalia,
oh, that's tennis. That's tennis.
Yeah, tennis
like
balls,
racket, maybe.
But I like how the carrots look a bit like fireworks as well. Rodsalia, can you click subscribe, please? That will help us a little bit, and we would all appreciate it. Okay, now who'll be your Medi will win it all, Jane says. I mean, the thing is, Jane, I guess deep down in your heart of hearts, probably did know that this was coming. You always hope against hope, but and if you win that tiebreak, and maybe that's the problem, is maybe Jane at 5-1 in the tiebreak is going, hang on a second, I'm going to stop vacuuming. And
this was looking good for Rublev, right? 5-1 in the tiebreak, this was looking great. I mean, that was the part of the match where Sinner was definitely a little down on energy, and he goes up 5-1 in the tiebreak. He's very close to a one-set lead. At that stage, you might even call him the favorite, maybe. But if he wins, of course, the tiebreak. But yeah, he didn't.
No.
So that was really it then.
Indeed. Okay. So, yeah, see you all again in a few hours. In the meantime, have fun and enjoy your days. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
Good afternoon from Malaga and good morning from somewhere central in the US, right, Craig?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas is the capital, right?
It is the capital of Texas, exactly.
Lance Armstrong, is that his?
This is Lance's country. He's spent a lot of time. It's a lot of undulating terrain, a lot of hills. Great for biking. Biking is everywhere here.
Are you a biker?
My wife is. No, I was out on my bike this morning on my mountain bike, running my dogs on the trail behind my house. So that's about the extent of my biking.
Craig, you're certainly an early riser, and I noticed it from your picks at Wimbledon this year as you were enjoying the early opportunities to taste and savour centre court. But we're not here to talk about Wimbledon. That's for the European summer. We're in the midst of European winter, although fortunately here in Malaga it's still pretty sunny. So let's get to Turin. You were there, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah, for the almost the entire time. I came back Saturday and then did a report for the ATP on Sunday here from Austin.
Got it. Okay. Let's begin with the final. I think we have to. The first question I have for you regarding the final is sort of where was it won and lost, especially thinking about the round robin stage and some of the differences between those two matches?
Yeah, I was courtside, front row, right on the baseline for the round robin match between Novak and Jannik. And when Novak gets a little passive, when he's not quite, dictating out there on the court, he hits too many backhands. That's the MO. He always has. When I worked with him 2017 to 2019, I was always cognizant of the backhand to forehand ratio. When he's humming, he's looking for that runaround forehand. The runaround forehand has three benefits. It's upgrade, double, and freeze. The upgrade is I'm putting the forehand and the backhand as the sword and the shield. So when the ball is hit to his backhand, instead of him using his shield, he puts the shield down and picks the sword up. From the back of the court, it's about 75% winners from the forehand side. So certainly when he hits the runaround forehand, which accounts for the majority, the runaround forehand for Novak in the ad court has more forehand winners than forehands in the deuce court. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to hit the runaround forehand. Secondly, you can double the target area. You can go inside in, inside out much easier than with the backhand. The backhand sometimes is even inside out going down the line. And lastly is that you freeze the opponent so that when you do the runaround forehand, they can't tell from your positioning where it's going. So upgrade double freeze really makes the runaround forehand very, very potent. And when Novak's not hunting that and he's settling for backhand, sometimes when he gets nervous, he knows the backhand's going to go in. He doesn't mind hitting backhands, but it's not really hurting opponents. He got away with it in Paris. In the final, he had a lot of backhands. But in this match, Sinner was crushing backhands. He was just roping them to, corner to corner through the ad court. And it was to Sinner's benefit. And Novak, didn't really pick that up. He was cruising till 5-all in the first set, 5-all 40 love. And he loses that game. He got tight. He served a double-folded deuce. Sinner was crushing balls. He hit Novak served and volleyed at 40 love. Probably shouldn't have because it gave Sinner a target. Sinner hit a backhand winner that went right through the line. And from then on, Novak immediately got into it with the crowd. The arms are going up. And he got distracted. And he didn't see the game plan as clearly as he needed to. And Sinner was just dominating ad court exchanges. Sinner was the one wearing the pants from the baseline. And because Novak was distracted, he didn't pick up on all of this. So for the rest of the match, he was, even though it's 7-6 in the third, it was one of those matches where it was just a matter of time. Jannik was always had the better strategy. Novak was having to dip into higher risk patterns of play. And, Jannik won. But in the final, he adjusted. I don't know whether he read my analysis. It kind of looks like the carbon copy of what he should do if he had read it. But he came out firing. He came out looking for forehands. He came out dictating with his forehands. He said he changed strategy. So we're going to assume he did. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you make that adjustment? So he played much better and much more strategically in his favor in the final. Sorry, John, I can't hear you right now.
I put myself on mute, Craig, and forgot to take it off.
Yeah, well, that happens to the best of us.
Maybe that happened to Novak in his first encounter, and it didn't happen to him in the final with Sinner. What I was really interested in, it's great that we've got you on right now, because actually strategy was something that was mentioned quite a bit by both players in a way. That Jannik said he expected a different Novak in the final and a different strategy. Novak talked about some of the things that happened to him in his press conference, I think, in the first match when he said he was maybe a bit too passive in the big moments and the big points, and that wouldn't happen again. And of course, they did end up playing in the final. So I thought that sort of conversation, I think I remember Jannik saying something like, I know he's got a plan, or I know he's going to be different in the final. And I thought that element was particularly intriguing, but particularly how the final went. If we got the same result, then we could have maybe thrown changes of plans and strategies out the window. But because we got a wildly different result, I thought that was particularly intriguing. What about Sinner? What could and should he have done maybe different in the final?
Yeah, and just before I answer that, going back to what you said, the other layer of that is it's a monumental achievement to beat Novak at any stage, especially in a year like this where he's dominating so much. I think he only lost 6 matches for the entire year. But to beat him once, congratulations, that's awesome. To beat him twice in a row, almost impossible. Almost impossible. So the fact that Jannik had won the first encounter, I think just in general, from a belief standpoint, from now Novak's got a lot more motivation. He's got revenge on his side. He's got the final. He's got his legacy. He's got, adding to his career. I think he's up to 98 or 99 tournament victories now. To beat Novak twice in a row is literally almost impossible. So Jannik had that against him. Jannik tapped out early and panicked too early in the point in the final. And I would give Novak a lot of credit for that, because Novak came out pummeling forehands. his average forehand speed was much higher than Jannik's. I don't remember exactly, but it was significantly higher. And so now Jannik's playing a little bit more off the back foot. Jannik's forehand historically is the side that can get loose. You know, his backswing is quick. His backswing is quite big. He goes after it. You know, he doesn't have a great defensive forehand. When he gets pushed into that corner, position A, out wide in the juice court, that's historically where he starts spraying forehands. He is improving in that area. It did get better, but he wasn't tested in that area in the round robin stage because there was just so many backhand exchanges. But in the final, Novak made sure that he brought extra speed to that corner and extra pressure to that corner. And early on, I wrote about, I think, Novak hit, his first 11 forehands. I think he extracted 4, 5, maybe even 6 errors from Jannik's side of the court. And right from the start, Novak going up 3-1, it just had a completely different feel than the semifinal. And you just tell on Jannik's face, he wears, even though he's by far the strongest mentally / emotionally of the entire group, out of the 8 players, he doesn't get as upset, he doesn't get as mad, he doesn't get as frustrated, he doesn't slam his knee 8 times in a row like Rublev's doing out there. He keeps the toys in the pram and goes about his business. But you could just tell on his face early on is like, this is a different deal. This is going to be much tougher. And Novak was coming at him, and that's why he couldn't dictate nearly as much as he did in the round robin, because it was much more of a forehand dominated match rather than backhand.
Do you think with Jannik in that final that there was any difference as well in terms of expectation, in terms of the pressure that would obviously building throughout the week with every match that he was winning so incredibly? I think his backhand was on fire in the semi-final against Medvedev, but also Italy was getting a bit of tennis fever, I think, and the Carota boys and the emotion within the stadium. And do you think that may have played any particular role, particularly as Jannik took a set and a half to settle to some extent? I mean, maybe we're taking away a bit from Novak in terms of his incredible performance, but just looking at Sinner, was he, pulling the trigger too quickly is something you touched on, panicking a bit too early in rallies? Was that a mental thing, do you think, at all?
Yeah, we didn't see this problem up until the final. So it was a Davis Cup style crowd in there. The Italians have finally got someone that they can get behind. Certainly there was Berrettini for a while, but not at the ATP finals. He played a set and rolled his ankle, and Matteo's been missing at this event. So to have Jannik there, the Italians just went ape droppings. It was unbelievable, the amount of energy in that stadium, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing for our sport. And it didn't bother Novak until he got down, until he was, behind. Then he's a little negative and he's a little pissed off, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go engage this crowd because I need to let out some of this energy. I need to, kind of press the pressure meter, and sometimes he screams at his box, which happened less in this event. There's still a little bit, but happened less. But boy, was he was so locked on, so positive, so ready to go, and things were very clear in his mind. So I think from the final, we go back to the 3 round robin matches in the semi-final. Jannik was in superb form. He played extremely well, and we just didn't see him kind of shocked and bullied around the court like we did in the final. So I think I don't think it was the crowd, because Jannik had that for 4 matches. I think the crowd helped him. I think he handled that well. I just think it was Novak finding the right game plan. Thank you, Craig, and going and executing it and ripping forehands and taking it to him instead of hoping the opponent was going to give it to him.
Fair enough. Let's have a quick look at 1 or 2 other players that did take part, at least, albeit that they got taken apart, or on one of these occasions got taken apart by Novak, and that's Carlos. Where does Carlos need to improve in these conditions, in particular, indoors in Turin, to take the next step?
Yeah, I watched his first match, and he looked very, I say very average for the number 2 player in the world, for how amazing he is. He set the bar so high, and the problem for Carlos wasn't this event; it was the lead up to this event. It was fractured. There was problems with injury. There was problems with plantar fasciitis. I just had it for a year in my right foot. I couldn't shake it for a year.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thing because it hurts like crazy. It hurts your movement. He also had a lower back problem. So at least, we know of those 2 things. There's probably 2 or 3 other niggles that he had. So his preparation wasn't good. And I would put down his not making the final. I mean, he's still, even though after that first loss, he still made it out, but he's just not quite there at the moment. The forehand's spraying too much. The forehand's too big. He needs, because he's off a little bit, he needs to defend a little bit more, and stay in the point and get his reps and make the opponent change direction under duress rather than him changing direction. So, I think Carlos did about as good as he possibly could with the lead-in that was just not ideal for him.
What about Daniil Medvedev? Where does he go from here? I mean, actually, this time a year ago, the future and the immediate future looked pretty bleak for Daniil, having had the sort of post-Australia hangover, if you like, that carried on throughout the year. And in fact, we had a resurgence in February of this year. And actually, I guess, outside of the slams, and you could even say with the slams, if you think about Wimbledon and the US Open, but he's actually had a good year in a way. So what about next year? I mean, the problem is that I think you may well agree that Rune should improve, especially physically. Carlos won't be absent for that long, I don't think. Novak's not going anywhere anytime soon. And there's one of Jannik Sinner, is now arguably a Grand Slam contender. Where does that leave Daniil Medvedev in the pie, if you like?
Well, you've certainly added Sinner to the mix. Sinner is now elevated to a level that he hasn't before. He is definitely a Grand Slam contender. He had match point on Alcaraz when Alcaraz won the US Open. He could have won it that year. He's been sniffing right around for a while, and now he's finally broken through. That win against Novak, that's going to buoy his confidence for the next 12 months. He's going to live off that for the next 12 months, feed off that. So for Medvedev, he's doing nothing wrong. His game is good. I'd like to see him next year not be as emotional under pressure. I'd like to see him a little bit more like Sinner. Sinner keeps it together better than all those guys. Medvedev can engage in the crowd and in quite a negative way, and he just needs to stick to tennis. Stick to tennis. Stick to hitting the ball. Stick to taking titles. Stick to keeping your head in the game and winning these big matches. So I'd like to see him less emotional, and I think just that will create the clarity under pressure in these big matches to find those 2 or 3 or 4 points that he needs to turn a loss into a victory. So he's in a good place. He's an excellent player. I'd like for him to go to the net a little bit more, not only when he has to, but, he dominates so well from the back of the court, but hunt the short ball, hit that deep ball, get the short ball back, and don't be content to go another 3 or 4 balls. Become a little bit more of an all-court player and pressure at the net where the win percentage is always so much better. And he'll be in a good place. So I think he's going to be, certainly one of the top 4 players next year on tour.
Okay, I've got one more for you, Craig, and it's this Boris Becker-Holger Rune partnership. But you can also tell me about, Holger and 2024 and maybe where he could go and where maybe he needs to improve.
Yeah, I think Boris is a great addition to his team. You've got Holger, who's a young player, somewhat of an impulsive player, unbelievably good at coming forward. This is who Medvedev should look at and just go and look at Holger Rune playing, because anything a little bit short, Holger's all over the net. So, Boris brings credibility to win big titles. When you've got a coach, this great picture you've got there, when you're looking in your coach's eyes and your coach has been number one, your coach has won multiple Grand Slams, has been an icon of our sport from a young age, I think it's a great mix. And, Boris is coming out of personal troubles, and for him to be, readily accepted by the rest of the tennis community and tennis fraternity straight back on tour. Boris was so engaging at in Turin. I was in the front row. He was about 15 seats down on my right, and he was standing constantly. To start with, I thought, well, his leg's sore. He needs to stand because, his knee's bad. But, he brought so much energy to Holger and so much positive energy, but also strength as well. So I think that is a really good connection. I think Holger will benefit from that for sure. And I think Holger Rune has an excellent year next year, a really good year. He's got such a good all-court game, probably the best all-court game since Federer retired. So his ability to jump on a short ball, his ability to attack, his ability to serve and volley, his ability to come forward with a forehand down the line when standing with 2 feet behind the baseline is probably the gold standard right now. And he just needs, the forehand can get a bit impulsive. He can spray a bit with that. He can get too antsy when things aren't going his way. You can see the nerves go up a little bit. He just needs to stay calm. He needs to chill. He needs to breathe. He needs to take his time. There's nothing that there's no problem that he needs to solve. He just needs to not beat himself. And those are the messages that he needs to really take on board for next year. And, he at some stage next year, he could be number 2 in the world, challenging Novak for number 1.
Craig, huge thanks for coming on and squeezing us into your busy schedule, and enjoy the rest of the year, and catch up with you sometime in 2024.
Enjoy Davis Cup.
I will.
Forza Italia.
Yeah. Oh, you're backing the Italians, are you? By the way,
I've been working with them for 8 years, and I'll be assisting in Davis Cup. So let's hope they finish strong.
Makes sense. And make sure you check out Craig's Brain Game, and also check him out on Twitter as well, and all the socials. Big thanks, Craig, and we'll catch up with you next year.
Pleasure. See you, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, it's not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2008, 2010, because he was young, he has power, he has a good decision. Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young. He was 16 years old, and of course, he was not well done in this moment. Then, during many years, he improved. When you watch the first Rafael Nadal in Roland Garros, it's not the same than the Rafael Nadal in 2008 or in 2010. I think the best player was in this moment, 2008, 2010, because he was young, he has power, he has a good decision. Something is better, something is worse. Of course, when Rafael arrived in the ATP Tour, he was really young.
The mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, The two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport. But secondly, so there's nowhere to hide. Like in football, in a team sport, you can just give the ball to another, teammate, and you cannot call for it if you like. But there's nowhere to hide. The other thing as well in tennis is again in something like football, you can be really nervous, but you can get a bit lucky. And of course, that can be the case in tennis. But basically, your body could be shaking when you're about to take a penalty, okay? And you can still score because you can just put your foot through it, right? You just hit it as hard as you can. And actually, probably you will still score because of the odds on that.
Yeah.
But there's that in a sport such as darts, snooker, tennis, where you need to be pretty calm and you need to have a pretty steady hand. There's just nowhere to hide. Is there anything I'm missing, or am I underplaying something, or even overplaying?
No. I think you're 100% correct. I think the real tough thing about these sports and tennis in particular, because of how physical it is as well, is the relentlessness of point after point. And if you're nervous, you have to fight through those nerves sometimes for, an hour. and they might disappear for a while, but then suddenly, you're 5-all and it's tight again and you're feeling very tight, and you have to manage it over and over again. And I think, the best players in the world just, use their tools and remember to use their tools in big moments. Because, once you get to pro level, it's not like any player doesn't kind of know what they have to do, but it's in the heat of that moment that they either don't remember because the brain is frying a little bit, or they don't have the courage to use them.
Yeah.
So, for us sitting there, I remember when Roger Federer had 2 match points against Novak at Wimbledon serving.
Yeah.
You're thinking serve and volley both.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Novak's not going to make a great return on both.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know whether what Roger was thinking, or maybe knew something more than I did, but that was my thinking. But he didn't, and they slipped through his hands. Now, to do that though in that moment takes a huge amount of courage.
Yeah, and
first to make the decision, and then secondly to follow through the decision like that. But then you've always got, and this is what's so tough for players. The other thing is, match point, make the person play. Don't serve and give them a quick volley or whatever. And that's another school of thought. But I think deep down, players get to a place where they have an instinct. And I think, I say this over and over again, the best players in the world are the most relaxed and the bravest. Because in those moments, when their instinct is telling them something, they are brave enough to follow it. And which is why, and again, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but I do think it starts to push the odds more in your favor. I'll just say one other thing is,
yeah,
I don't know if anybody's ever been go-karting or any kind of motor racing or watches motor racing,
mm-hmm.
but when a driver gets in the groove, they lap like within 0.1 of a second of every lap, like in this unbelievable groove.
Mm-hmm.
But if they lose that groove, when they're in that groove, it seems so easy. Just do it. It's like no hassle. But if they lose that groove, if they go a little too fast, then, they slide out of a corner, they lose time. If they go a little too slow, then that's not effective. And the margins are so small to stay on that groove. And for players as well, when you go into something like the French Open or any tournament, but especially the big ones, you hope that you can get through that first match and find a groove. And if you get in that groove, then that gives you your best chances of winning, because then most stuff is happening automatically, which is the most effective. Everybody has a problem when they start to think on the court, and automatic is fastest and easiest because you know how to do things. And it's not like you don't register. I say when you're playing very well, you are aware of everything, but nothing distracts you. When you start to think, your thoughts start to distract you, and that's very difficult to manage. And if you can learn how to manage that and get yourself back in the groove a little faster than other players, that's obviously, helps with ranking and why certain players, are more consistent than others, because they tend to manage that better. I hope that makes sense anyway.
It does. It definitely does. There were with the mental side of tennis, from my perspective as a fan, if you like, the two things that strike me in tennis compared to lots of other sports that I think make it a big mental challenge is, first of all, it's an individual sport, but second.
Emma Raducanu has given an interview with the BBC where she's outlined her plans to return from injury, when that will be. She's also explained what she's been up to whilst away, and she's been watching much tennis. She's also got an answer for the critics, of which, some are on social media, but also, of course, many within the media. And she's also explained which is the slam that she would most like to win. What is her ultimate dream in tennis? So as I say, the interview was given to BBC London earlier on today, where she outlined her plans to return to next season, and also how she would one day love to win Wimbledon. So she will make her return to tennis next season after struggling with injuries mainly since May. She obviously had injuries since then, but she hasn't played since May. She withdrew from the Madrid Open, I think on the eve of the tournament, to basically have some operations. She's missed 3 of the 4 Grand Slams. She did play in Australia, where she lost to Coco Gauff. And, of course, just a couple of days ago, she dropped out of the world's top 200 and did confirm in this interview with BBC London that she will not be returning to the tour until next year. Britain didn't make the Billie Jean King Cup finals, which will take place in Seville in the south of Spain in November. Also, she has no hope of making the WTA finals, also in November. So she confirmed that next season will be her return to tennis. 20-year-old also said that the slams are obviously finished now, but it has been difficult to watch them go by. She was just said, "I want to stay in my lane as much as possible and keep focused on my recovery," were her exact words. The 20-year-old has been hampered, though, by injuries since winning that US Open title in 2021, when remarkably she managed to qualify and go all the way to the title without dropping a set in New York. She also made British #1 at one point as a result, but has not gone beyond the second round of any Grand Slam since that mesmeric, incredible run 2 years ago, when she became the first British woman in 44 years to win a major singles title since Virginia Wade. She was also asked about how she deals with criticism, and Raducanu had this to say: "The fact they are still talking about me, even though I'm not at these events, is just a compliment. Someone told me once, for example, 'Worry when they're not talking about you,'" she added. Raducanu has, of course, returned to the practice court. We did see some glimpses of her playing some short tennis in August, for example, the first time since she underwent surgery earlier on this year. And in fact, she only did play 10 matches in the first 5 months of the year. She said she does hope to return to better form and fulfill her Wimbledon dreams. "Wimbledon is the dream," she said, "and always has been growing up." Of course, she's from the UK, so it makes sense. She said, "It's the ultimate dream to win Wimbledon." back in May, she seemed to undergo 3 successful surgeries. She said that she underwent the surgeries on both of her wrists and her ankle in a letter posted on social media. In fact, she said at the time, it's safe to say the last 10 months, so that would have been the summer of 2022 until these surgeries in May of this year, have been difficult as I dealt with a recurring injury on a bone of both hands, she said at the time. She said she tried to manage the pain and play through it for most of the year, but in the end it was just getting too much. She was missing so much of training as well as certain tournaments anyway, that for her it made sense to go ahead with these procedures. Well, now she has confirmed that she will be back. I would imagine, therefore, for the Australian swing, maybe United Cup, end of December, beginning of January, perhaps, for the 250 in New Zealand or elsewhere. And then, of course, the Australian Open.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
No. Oh, okay. Hi, Botic. First of all, how was the training session today?
Yeah, I think we had a good practice session. First we played some doubles and yeah, we ended with some single points. So it was a long one, but I think we played some good level. So I think everybody's happy in the team and I think we're ready for Italy.
And you seem like you're having fun as well.
Yeah, definitely. The team is having a lot of fun. We know each other quite well. We play already quite some time with each other. So yeah, and off court we hang out a lot. So it's nice. Yeah, it's a good atmosphere, I think.
Good. You mentioned in your press conference earlier about some of the difficulties you had this year. Obviously, an injury following that loss to Runa. But you said also that was quite a mental challenge as well, getting over that loss, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I was 29 after Munich or top 30. I don't know the ranking by number, but yeah, then not playing with an injury for a while, having to stop, picking up another one, losing some points, and yeah, going to 60, 70. It's difficult. I think it's also part of tennis, but I never had it before. So I think the first time is always tough when you go down in the rankings.
Was the Runa sort of injury in that final as well? Was that distracting for you, or did that not bother you at all?
No, not during the final. No, definitely not. So yeah, from Madrid on to Rome, Roland Garros. Then I stopped for 2 weeks. Had to miss the Dutch grass tournament, and then I started playing again with some difficulties. And then afterwards, I twisted my ankle, so I was out again for a couple of weeks. So yeah, I came back during US Open, and then have to find the rhythm, the movement. Of course, everything in the beginning is tough when you didn't play for a while. So. Yeah, I think at the end of the year I picked up some good wins and I played a little bit better tennis. So yeah, that's also giving a confidence boost.
I'm gonna just ask you a question. Just want to show you some pictures, and I just want you to tell me what you think. Okay, here's the first one, and you can probably see it. What's your first thoughts when you see this picture?
I think we played a terrible doubles in Rotterdam. Yeah, I think we played Gillet. No, I'm not sure actually. Who did we play here? Gillet Vliegen, I think. That's correct, huh? Yeah, we didn't win, so no, but we had fun. I think we always have fun when we play together with the doubles. So yeah.
Are you expecting to play both doubles and singles this week?
Not sure. There are some options, so we have a lot of options in doubles, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Who's better.
Next picture is this one, which is from US Open 2021. Are your overall thoughts positive, or do you still think that did you dream bigger even then?
No, I think overall, I think this was against Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, first quarter final. Yeah, when you're gonna start in qualies, when somebody says you're gonna be in the quarterfinals, I think you sign for it. So no, really positive feeling about this one, and I think Medvedev was just too good in the quarters. I think the whole tournament he was just too good.
Yeah. Next picture is this one.
I'm not eating cheese.
You're not eating cheese?
No, not like on bread and stuff. Or no, I don't eat cheese a lot. Let's say.
You know, you have something with Rafa Nadal. He doesn't eat cheese either.
No. Yeah. No, that's a good thing, huh? Maybe. No, it's no, I don't eat it like other Dutch people. Like they always had it for breakfast and everything. But yeah, I'm not eating this one.
This picture, you and him shaking hands at the ref. What does this make you think of?
Yeah, first time I played him, I think in the beginning I was a little bit overwhelmed, like he walking on court, and yeah, then they say all his best results he won it like a couple of times, so
At least it wasn't Philippe Chatrier, I guess. I don't know if that made any difference.
no, that's true. We played on Zandschulp, yeah. So yeah, but I think it was great first match against him there. First 2 sets, didn't play quite well, but yeah, of course.
The last picture I have for you is.
Yeah, I think Djokovic at the moment is. Yeah.
Is it impossible?
Yeah, I think it's tough to argue with somebody who's winning so many titles, but yeah, then you have Roger. He is like did so much for the sport, I think, and he's like, I think they're all different in a way. So I think it's tough to say somebody is the GOAT, but on results wise, yeah, you have to go with Djokovic, of course. But yeah, maybe classy wise, maybe you go Federer, and I think Rafa is what he's doing. Like Shields was asking a nice question, actually. He said if 2 of the Grand Slams would have been on clay and not on hard, for example, how many would Rafa have won? Yeah, I think they're all great, amazing players. Maybe the best 3 players at the same time we're gonna see for a long time.
Thank you, Botic.
Thank you. No worries.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
John, I won't want to go cool down, but we can do a couple.
Yeah, right now?
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Okay, great.
You got it all inside of you.
Yeah, should work fine. Can I have 10 seconds or 20 seconds?
Okay.
I didn't know, sorry.
All right.
That's fine. He just wants to. Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. You can just come the time and I'm ready.
Feel it to be true. And when you dance
Yeah, sure.
Is it okay to stand here, or you'd rather sit down there?
Where do you want me?
Standing here?
Here?
Is okay?
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to, make you stand up for too long. Okay, let me just check the camera's on. Yes, it is. What a return! Leila Fernandez. Take a bounce. That's point, ladies and gentlemen. Championship Billie Jean King Cup point here in Zandschulp. What attacking? What defense? Wow! Wow! Look at this!
I was probably a little bit bamboozled with with everything. Sorry.
And Billie Jean King Cup 2023, that's a wrap.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.